Hello, the following recording is from our 7th Artist Feedback AMA session held within MetaJungle Discord on February 3rd. This session is hosted by Mike Schmidt and Dan Hawk. In this session, we review the artwork and collections of 13 different artists, and we cover topics related to things to consider as you're picking the actual pieces to put in your collection, how to curate your collection, pricing for your artwork, and also some marketing information. So whether you are an NFT artist or an NFT collector, we're confident that you will find this information helpful. We look forward to continuing to offer these free tools and resources to help collectors and artists be successful in the NFT space. So with that said, let's go ahead and get to this week's session.
And so I'm going to start sharing my screen. Sorry, it took me a while to get all the names and stuff out, just because I forgot that the AMA was today, and so yesterday I stayed in the Twitter space for a really long time, like 4 hours, and I could have been working on this. Um, But Dan, you said you wanted to start with Wonderfalls. Daniel needs to step out
Yeah,
early, so
Daniel's a local guy here in the Portland area, and he he's like, hey, I'm doing this from during a break at work, so I wanted to try to give him a specific time. I thought this would be the easiest way to do it.
cool. Do you know
So
Do you know Daniel?
we've never actually met in person, but he lives like just a few miles from me.
Oh, cool. And so is he on the mic? Is he here?
Looks like
Hey,
it.
Daniel.
Yeah, I think I figured it out. Sorry, I'm new to the whole Discord thing.
Hey, what's up, Daniel? How's it going, man? These are really beautiful waterfall shots. So what does this mean exactly? 25 out of 100 minted on. So I understand what a custom contract is, but what out of 100? So is this series 25, or is it going to eventually be 100? Or can you explain?
Yeah, so it's eventually going to be 100 images. The first 25 images is supposed to represent the first year of my collection, of my journey as a landscape photographer. So all of these 25 images were shot during 2018 when I really started getting started with waterfalls specifically.
Okay, so is this collection going to remain 25, and then you'll have a Wonderfalls 2 edition 2, and that will have more photos, or are you expecting for this one to have 100?
This one is going to have 100. I'm doing it in phases. So once this inevitably sells out, then I'll add the next 25 and then so on and so forth.
Okay, cool. What's your thoughts on that, Dan?
Well, I thought it was one of the reasons I wanted to include Daniel is because there's one really important thing here, is that this collection, Daniel already released this collection on OpenSea and then deleted the entire thing and reminted all of it on a manifold contract. So these are actually, even though they're on OpenSea, these are actual minted pieces on Daniel's own custom contract.
Nice. I heard there's a lot of benefits to doing your own custom contract. Is one of the benefits of doing your own custom contract that if, let's say OpenSea just failed as a platform and you had your own custom contract, would you be able to still see your photograph because from what I understand is that you buy from OpenSea, right? So let's say you buy from like a Cuban photographer, and then sanctions takes away Cuban photographer, and then photography's ability to be on there, right? And then so OpenSea removes this artist. Now you could no longer see your photograph on OpenSea anymore, and so where would you be able? So then you'd just be stuck with a code in your wallet. Now, does a custom contract help in any way for that?
Dan, you can probably speak to that better than I can.
Because that's something I'm afraid of.
Yeah, so with OpenSea, what you're doing, I'm sure you're aware of this, but it's lazy minting. So you're basically creating a file on OpenSea that isn't technically an NFT until it's sold. Whereas when you create a custom contract, every item on there, at least the way I did it, is minted to my wallet, and then the next person who buys it will then have it transferred to their wallet. The benefit to that is that everything is forever actually on the blockchain. These are already live and up forever on what's called Arweave, which is like IPFS. They're both just decentralized file storage platforms. If you were to go to wonderfalls.xyz, it's the website I made for this collection. It actually has, it's got all of the token information listed. So you can click on that link. It'll take you to the metadata for it, and you can actually see the link for the image. So no matter what, even if OpenSea goes down, you can still track down the image and all the metadata and all that stuff from a totally decentralized source.
Where would you be able to see the image?
There's a link inside of the metadata that you can just copy and paste into the browser and see the image.
I really need to start doing this custom contracting. When I come out with my Staten Island Ferry series, which is like a 60 photo drop, I'm gonna have to do custom contracting because I'm afraid for the bets. For some odd reason, something could happen, and then I can't see that someone can't see the images that they own or something. Anyway, I know you're on a time crunch, so I guess we should get into like talking about the work and stuff. So I don't, Dan.
Yeah, so I'll kind of jump in. So I think there's one. There's one thing that I think is kind of interesting is that there's the idea that there's going to be 100 and there's 25 up front, and from when I look through here, it looks like we've got five that are minted or five that are for sale, I think is maybe the better way to put it. And maybe I'm reading that wrong, but one of the things that I think is interesting is that in our AMAs here, we've talked a lot about the idea of scarcity, the idea of, releasing some, but not releasing too many. One of the things is that I think Daniel's taken a little bit different approach here with the idea that there's some dropped and then eventually there'll be more. But I guess I have a hard time picking through here and saying that any of them don't belong. I think that they all belong. I think that you just have to work through, like, there's this struggle that I think artists have of, if you mint a whole bunch of work, like, what if it never sells? And I think that some of the way you've talked about this on Twitter, Daniel, is that you don't really care. I mean, we obviously care if it sells, but your idea was to immortalize all of this work. And so in some ways, that makes it worth minting all of it and releasing all of it at one time, or not all at one time, but on one contract. Whereas I think we have guided people to release smaller collections so they can get more traction. But I think if we know why you're doing it, if we know that this is going to be 100 falls, it's all going to get released one way or the other. Like, I think that kind of means something, but I think that the story is important for that to make sense. Otherwise, you'd go, hey, this is a really big collection. Maybe it's too many, because the goal with collections is, I think for a lot of people, it's to sell out. And for me, it would scare the crap out of me minting 100 pieces, trying to think that if it doesn't sell out, I've failed. So
yeah, well, I'm glad he started with just 25.
Yeah, so I like Dan said earlier, I created this collection on OpenSea back in, I don't know, sometime during the summer, and I've sold, I think, 5 pieces out of it, and then it kind of just stagnated a little bit. So I'm like, you know what, I'm gonna start dropping the next bit, because maybe the images I put up there didn't catch the attention of the people who wanted to buy it. Because I was going about it the wrong way for the longest time, because this was just like I wanted to put my collection up there. I wanted to try and make some sales, and then I realized that I really just want these pictures to forever be immortalized. And I guess I'm struggling with a way to convey that right off the bat, because yes, we're all in it for the sales, but at the same time, like, the way that these are minted is that these are going to forever be safe somewhere in the blockchain, and it doesn't have to worry about a hard drive crashing or anything like that. It's just they're forever in, like, my own time capsule.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I totally feel that. Like, I want my images to feel safe and immortalized as well. And so, why do you think why do you think it became sort of stagnant? Did you sort of, drop off Twitter for a bit? Did you stop engaging as much with the community? Like, so what are you doing? Like, are you on you're on the MetaJungle Discord, right? Because you had to be there to apply for this year. So what have you been doing to sort of like stay engaged with the community and stuff like that, and have eyes on your work?
I'm super active on Twitter. The only thing I'm not terribly active in because of my job is Spaces, and I think that might be part of the reason why. It feels like
Mm-hmm.
a lot of the collections that have done really well, there's people getting up on stage constantly and talking about their work, and I don't really have the ability to do that as much. I have a very busy life outside of the NFT community, unfortunately. So I've been doing my best to try and convey the story via text on Twitter, via tweets and stories on there, and just working my best to stay engaged with the community that way. It's because it's the only way that I really can at this time.
Yeah. Okay.
And if
Cool.
you don't follow Daniel on Twitter, you should, because it's a riot.
Yeah, I'm gonna see if I do. I don't want to click on it right now. It's just because I have all this organized, but I'll definitely gonna follow if I'm not, for sure, because the work is really really beautiful. I don't know. I tend to lean towards some of the perspectives that seem like a bit more unorthodox. I don't know. It's something I really really love about this. Something I really
That
love
Lower
about.
Lewis Falls, the one you just clicked on, that's
Yeah,
one of my favorites in there too.
yeah. There's something about some of these where something just happened. Like this tree is just, the colors are just really beautiful, and your exposure time and this sort of just like splash out, causing this just like, I don't know, beautiful, just beautiful shape of like of water movement. So there's definitely like some like really standout ones to me, whereas there's some other ones. I'm trying to go back here, and OpenSea is slow. Where some of them have like more of an orthodox, typical composition of how a waterfall is done that I've sort of seen before, and they stand out a bit less than those. So I mean, those would be the ones where I'd be leaning more towards purchasing. Some of the ones that I've favorited and such, and so like I would say one that stands out less to me, since would be like something like this, for instance. It seems like a composition that many would go for. It also feels a bit oddly soft. Like it's almost like when I see people shooting portraits of a bride at a wedding, and they kind of bring the clarity down so that the detail for the bride is less detail in the face. But I don't especially appreciate that in landscape. And I don't know if you see what I'm seeing, Dan, on this.
Yeah, I think that there's. I'm going to venture out here and say you've got an Orton effect going on the upper part of the image, right, Daniel?
Yeah, a bit. I think
Yeah.
most of my images have a little bit of it, but this one may have been a little much.
What is that
And
effect actually? Because I'm not a landscape photographer. I can just talk about it.
so I can an Orton effect is an old term that comes from a film processing process developed by a guy named Michael Orton. And what he would do is he would add a secondary sheet over the top. I'm butchering this, I'm sure, but what you're doing is you're adding a Gaussian layer to the layer over the top layer as you're processing to give it a little more of an ethereal feel.
I see. So I
Yeah.
so for me it I this the ethereal feel in this with this one didn't work for me as much as maybe you've done it in another one that probably has. And I don't know if so. For me, that I see strong detail down here, like in the rocks and stuff, and like a bit in the waterfall. And then it starts to fall off a little bit around like here, and then up here it seems to. It's like the detail between this mountain here and the sky. It's like they almost have the same detail. They kind of blur into each other. And maybe for some like this look, I don't. It's just I think it was a bit overdone for me. So personally, wasn't in my favorites of these. But I'm sorry. I wanted to click on actually this because like this one really stood out to me too. So I like a lot of times when um, when landscape photographers, they sort of they carve out this piece within the landscape that sort of, becomes its own little world rather than having these, ultimate layers of like foreground, mid-ground, background. Like there's just something really, really beautiful about this image to me. It's like, I really love that there's a lack of context and like what's behind this. I feel like I could be going into like some lair. These greens are just phenomenally, you know, I don't know if it's edited or the greens are that way, but it's just absolutely beautiful. The contrast of the greens here, to the yellows and greens here, and the detail, and then whatever shutter speed you're using, it's just like it has to be the perfect shutter speed for this shot. I really love this one. You like this one, Dan?
I do. And I'm being in the Pacific Northwest, I recognize most of these waterfalls, but yeah, I love the kind of more abstract, tight composition versions as well.
What's with the title? Ruby,
So
Ruby, Ruby.
Go ahead with that, Daniel. Because you'll notice every one of these has a title like that.
Oh,
Yeah, so this is a kind of not an Easter egg, but it's a little bit of my backstory. Sorry,
you're rugging a little bit there. Did you get dropped?
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
I could hear you now. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, sorry, I was having a hard time holding down the button apparently. So a little bit of like an Easter egg into my backstory here. When I was posting on Instagram, I would never really geotag the locations because I'm a big proponent of leave no trace. And what I would do is for a while, I would actually name every waterfall, like Multnomah Falls is the biggest waterfall, most well-known in the Pacific Northwest. And I would pretty much name everything after that one. And people would get really upset about the fact that I was, saying it was this waterfall and it wasn't. So it just became like picking weird names for the waterfalls. This one is actually called Ruby Falls, but there's a song from my childhood by a band called Rancid, and they had a song that basically had that line in it about Ruby, Ruby, Ruby Soho, and I just called it Ruby, Ruby, Ruby Soho Falls because it was funny to me. And a lot of the titles are kind of that same way. It's just they'll either have a piece of the actual name of the waterfall in it, or it's just something that reminded me of it that I decided to kind of name it after.
Yeah, I
One
like
of
the
my
story.
absolute favorites is number 25, which is in your top row there.
So if we do this, well, let's just go to how the oldest, because he put it in an order.
Yeah, look at number 25.
20, 25, and I have that favorite too for good reason. Right?
This is a waterfall that's actually called Falls Creek Falls. So, stupidest name for a waterfall ever, but his
Help, I've fallen, I can't get up falls. Oh my god. Oh, you're talking about your favorite was the title. I like the image. I like the image a lot as well.
Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah. Beautiful image. Colors are just crazy.
In order to give you feedback, Daniel, I think my thing is not that I would necessarily say that anything here, Mike, I have a different opinion. I don't think that you should cull any here, but I think that in order for you to continue minting these large, because minting is expensive. So in order to keep putting these out, you have to commit to the idea that you have to tell that story, and it's going to be more valuable to collectors, even if there's a lot of pieces that aren't sold, if they understand why you're doing it. And so that's a story you're just going to have to figure out a way to tell. And whether it's Spaces or Twitter or your website or Instagram or whatever it is, that's the story you got to tell, is that you're immortalizing your collection in a way that most other people aren't doing. And that might be a way to make it seem more interesting, or to make people understand it.
Right.
Yeah,
I'm open to suggestions on that. If anyone has any ideas on how to properly convey that, maybe, I know Spaces seems to be the way to go, but if there's any other options or alternatives you guys can think of, I would be more than happy to give that a shot.
For sure. And I just want to let you know that I don't think any images need to be culled from this, actually. I actually think every image is a great image. There's just ones that stand out more to me than others. For instance, this one here feels like it has that ethereal effect, and it works on this one for me. because it
Right.
almost feels like it has it throughout, rather than half of the image feeling like it has it and the other half not. So, you know, that's the only one. That would be probably, that other image would probably be the only one for me that I was like, I wasn't as crazy about, because I already had that feeling that there was something about it that that I felt I didn't understand, or what the purpose of it was. This is really beautiful. This is like feels like a landscape within a landscape, because if you look at the upper half of the image where that bridge is here, like this can be a landscape in itself, and you went even further with with the light post here and adding this this foreground which leads into the waterfall. Really beautiful work. So
I love it. Multnomah Falls.
yeah.
It's our
Yeah,
crown
that's the one I was
jewel.
mentioning. And it's been shot, probably billions of times at this point. So it's one of those ones that I really wanted to try and come up with a unique perspective on, one that isn't overly done like I've seen so often.
And I think you did. I think you did come up with a unique perspective, and I don't even have to see the other perspectives to kind of know that, just because um, it's I don't know, it's sort of a daring composition. I feel like a lot of people would try to get a bit closer to that waterfall rather than having the waterfall be so far away, which I really enjoy in that. I like when people try new things and push those boundaries like that. So yeah, I think it's a really
So
beautiful collection. Go ahead, Dan.
I agree. I was going to say, I think probably some of the best thing you can do to kind of learn how to market and tell this story is to spend some time in the MetaJungle Discord. I know that you're new there, Daniel, but
Yep.
I've learned a lot from being around and watching how other people talk about their work, and also watching the stuff that gets collected, because there's of course a couple of key collectors that have started and founded the Discord, but there are also a bunch of artists that are buying work in there. And so I think hanging around can help you learn how to tell that story better. And it's also just another place where there's a great group of people that are willing to give you feedback.
Yeah,
Yeah, and I think
there's.
that's
Go ahead.
go. I was gonna say, I think that's something I needed, because I've been kind of doing this my own way for the last few months, and clearly there's a piece I'm missing, and I'm just trying to figure out what it is that I can help do, not so much just for sales, but to kind of help finance the rest of this collection whenever it inevitably goes live.
Right.
So it's what you're doing right now, And so, like, you telling us your story about this, and how you made your own custom contracts and how you want your stuff immortalized. When I hear that type of stuff, I'm like, this guy seems like he's in it for the long run. He seems like longevity seems like something that's important to you. You seem passionate about having your images in a secure place. From a collector's standpoint, I'd want to collect from you. So if there's you might get a sale or something after the AMA or whatnot. You may or may not, but it's like um, this is what's missing from what like you talking about the work, and like you said, spaces. Maybe join a few spaces, and areas that have to do with landscape work and waterfalls, or start your own. You could even start your own space about like photographing long exposure water or something like that, and sort of build an army behind you by like teaching people how to use ND filters and how to expose, because I don't know how to do this stuff. Like if I go shoot waterfalls, like I don't know what ND filter to bring, and how long my shutter should be and stuff. And so like if you built like use your knowledge, right? Like, so you're
Right.
you're a great artist, like, but like you got to find out like what is your strengths. Like, I know you're a busy guy. Like, what is your strengths outside of just being a good artist, or what is your strengths within being a good artist that you could share with the community and um, build a community around you, that when you drop your collection, you've got an army behind you already willing to purchase your stuff, because you've added value to the ecosystem. So then therefore the ecosystem's going to put that value back. And I think that's all you need.
Exactly.
It's great advice. I really appreciate that.
No problem, man. I think we got to move on to the next collection though, but you make really beautiful work, and appreciate you coming up here and telling us the story.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys having me. It's been
You bet.
real.
Thanks for being here, Daniel.
yeah, I'll try and stick around and keep watching. But thank you guys again.
Yeah. Cool.
What's next, Mike?
So I kind of mix things up. I don't want landscapes next to landscapes, so I kind of next. Pranav, can you put your mic on, sir? We've got faces of Kashmir.
Hi, can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
We can.
How you doing, man?
Hi, I'm doing good. Thank you for, thanks Mike and Dan for sending my collection. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. So, if you guys haven't noticed, like, if you're looking at my screen, like, I favorite things, right? So, like, when I go through these collections before the AMA, I sort of favorite things that stand out to me. And so, you can see some of the stuff that I have on the screen here. And you have a way with people. That's obvious that you have this connection with the people that you're photographing for them to allow you to give this type of vulnerability to you. This type of vulnerability and authenticity from these children that they're giving you something that they probably won't give a lot of other photographers, right? Because I don't know if you're having a conversation or you're building a relationship with these people, but um, clearly they're comfortable with the camera being on them. So, what you want to talk a little bit about what your process is with these people?
Yeah. Actually, I captured all these pictures from a remote location named Kashmir. Kashmir, and there's a remote location Kashmir. So all of most of the pictures in those people are seeing camera first time. So that's the curious can see so many curious faces in this collection. So that's the main thing. Though they got attracted me to capture their photos. So and I asked all of them to take the permissions to take the portraits. So these are almost all people are Muslims, so they are like religious people and they don't like taking their pictures or taking pictures of females. So but most of them are really comfortable with me and they are really, I mean, they are very helpful for me to take the pictures.
Yeah, I love how you did this photograph. I love that you included all of these grapes. I don't think a lot of
Thank
photographers would have considered filling up 1/4 of the frame with just grapes. And I think that the way you did it
yeah.
really works, and the
Thanks.
colors of the grapes feel like I can bite into them and eat them. They seem very true to life. So your color temperatures are really good. And
Yeah.
I love behind that they're, it's the rest of the photograph has this sort of cold bluish, tint to it. And the gentleman's expression is just absolutely phenomenal. I love his, it's almost like a it's he seems a bit surprised but comfortable with you, but you caught him in this moment between moments. What do you think of these, Dan?
I think they're great. I really like this one you were on.
Actually, this is a for a mobile click. Actually, this is a mobile photo. Rest of them are camera. This one is a mobile click.
What was that?
Yeah,
This is a mobile. I captured this on my phone.
that photo was on your phone. Yeah.
Oh,
Yes,
that
yes,
was taken with your phone?
yes.
Wow. Okay.
So
Very.
I want to point out, I think my favorite is the last, if you put them in chronological order, it's the last piece on the way to work. It's the guy holding the pipe wrench.
Yeah, I have that favorited.
This is like, pull this one up and look at it up close. This is
Wow.
super, it's great because you've got this beautiful natural light. This is just engaged. There's so much context here. I love all the colors of his outfit in the background and his hat and the detail in his hat. And I think also this is a big one for portraits. Look at the catch lights in his eyes. Like
Yeah,
that's
beautiful.
that does this one for me. This is amazing. Really,
Yeah,
really nice portrait.
really good, and the bouquet and everything, and that background, the colors. I love how you melted the background, but the colors behind him suit his sort of like, you know, ruggedness, and his like the clothing that he wears really fits in this environment. You know, even though we can't really tell what the environment is, I don't really want to see the full environment in this, and I do like how you melted the background out here, and his engagement and eye contact with you, and his like, you know, quarter of a smile. It just feels really you could really feel the emotion in this, and I love it that he's holding this wrench or whatever tool he's got here, and seems like a real working man, and just seems like a really good soul. I think that's a good pick, Dan.
Yeah. Well, and I think if you're going to be consistent, you know, if you can look at also street stories.
Yeah,
which is-
actually I have a lot of portraits. I mean, there's a lot of portraits I capture from this place, but I only minted 50 works in this. Actually, I'm planning to launch another Faces of Kashmir 2 after this collection sold out.
Yeah, street stories. I love this one too.
That's great. And then also Wise Man is, I mean, there's a whole bunch of these that all really fit together well. And I think if there was anything I would do differently, it's that I would maybe take, so like the Rainy Day, the one with the grapes, and Shepherd Boy, the one with the boy in the hoodie. Those two, I feel like those are really nice photos, but I would probably do a little bit of editing to warm them up so they match the rest of the photos.
Makes sense. Yeah.
To get the skin tones to match a little bit more. And I know that that might be the accurate color of what's going on there, but it would fit better in the collection if you brought a little bit more warmth to those two.
I agree.
Okay.
And there's two. Well, you know, he's already sold this one, so he can't really do that now. But
yes,
didn't see that. There's also two photographs that are very similar, and it's this one here, her smile, and this one here, and I think this is the better shot, the feeling shy. If you just look, because you know, you can just open it and look at the light on her face and her reaction. I think this, if we can go look at the other one, I think it's more about the other girl. But I think it's like one of those instances where you have to pick one, and I think it kind of hurts the composition that his head is sort of like right in front of her, and you know, while I love this here, it's just too close to the same image as the other one, and so like I would pick between the two, and like my pick would be, you know, would personally be this one here. I just think the lighting is better. I think we clearly understand like who's the subject in the image, and yeah.
I got it. Yeah.
Yeah, do you feel that way? You know?
Yeah, I totally agree.
And yeah, there's a lot of great portraits here. There's a lot of great, beautiful portraits, and also, you know, there's environmental ones. So there's environmental ones like. So I didn't necessarily favorite this environmental one or this one. Let me see. Now I do like that you're adding the environment here. I think, and I do love I love his face and stuff here. I don't know that, to be honest, that the right portion of the image actually lends to this. Like if I could put my hand over this whole portion and this side just be the image, I think that we have a stronger shot.
Even if you left the light in, even if you left that one headlight in, that would still work.
Just this one, yeah, because it adds so much atmosphere. You know, like if you cropped it in a sense, like it maybe have to be square, or you know, maybe even with the motorcycle there. But this one here, it's just these lights, this it's just too much in it doesn't fit the very calm and solemn feel that I get from this. This has more like a busy street vibe, and it just doesn't juxtapose well for me in that single image. This image here, while I think you got an interesting expression from him, I'm not completely crazy about the full-on composition. This white bag or whatever this here like really bothers me from an artistic standpoint. I like to look at photographs sometimes as like paintings, like if the painter was to paint it, would they paint this part into it? And I don't think that they necessarily would. And I think that, I know there's with Photoshop, I could easily go in and grab
Yeah,
this and
okay, yeah,
do
sure.
and press fill. There's a button fill and then content aware, and that will do a content awareness of everything around it and remove this. And some people with reportage or documentary, they don't like to do that, but I don't personally mind if it's, if I want to call my work fine art, and I want to sell it as an NFT or something. Like, I think getting rid of this, right? Like
Yeah,
maybe
sure.
maybe bringing down the highlights in, the pots in the front, or like maybe this pot here, and maybe bringing up a little bit of like slight exposure on him or something, just to, like there's like little things that I would do here.
Yeah.
It also feels a little bit claustrophobic, the shot, in a sense that like maybe you didn't give enough room above. Like you crop this, but maybe there's room above that. Like if there was more stuff, if there was more stuff that I could see above him, it might feel like a little less claustrophobic to me, this scene. How do you feel about the scene, Dan?
I kind of feel the
Okay.
same way. While I really like the photo, I think it's an interesting story. It almost feels like if it were framed a little differently, it would be way more powerful. So for me, while it's a cool photo, I don't know that it fits in this Faces of Kashmir
I agree.
collection for me.
I agree. Yeah, agree with that. But I do think that this one could fit if it has that crop.
Okay, yeah, sure.
If it has that
I will look
crop, I
into it.
think.
Yeah.
So let's take a look at this here. Hiding face. I love the expression that you. I love the expression that you got of the child here. I also love the wardrobe, like the. I'm sorry. How do you say what they're wearing? Is it starts with
Yeah.
S? The polka dot pattern and everything. I think you've got composition hurts a little bit here, and I know there's nothing you could do about it. Like obviously, this whole piece right here is a huge distraction, especially when it meets right up along the face. I like the photograph. I don't. I love the expression. I don't think it's the best in the series, just because that happened. This whole piece here happened.
Okay.
And I mean, you probably feel that way as the artist. I'm not sure. This one here, while it's a really good photograph, it feels very Hallmark to me. I'm not sure if you're familiar with what I mean by that term, but it feels very like if parents ask me to do a photo shoot of their kid and get them dressed up, and they want like a pretty picture for the refrigerator to send to their friends, it feels a little bit too posy and cute, and it doesn't feel like a moment in time for me. It just feels, it feels a bit Hallmark. Do you feel that, like, do you agree with that, Dan?
I do. I think that it feels a little bit less authentic, and it's hard because it's a little kid, right? That's what little kids do. But
Yeah.
if you're just trying to pick what fits well with the rest of the other photos, yeah.
Yeah, then I'm not sure that it's that one. And let's see how your descriptions are. Great, you have long descriptions, and you have the edition and location, and okay, excellent. So that's all good. You're telling us how to get this depth of field too. Nice. All right. Yeah, beautiful series. This shot here, really great too. Mother and son, absolutely beautiful. And then so this shot though, for some reason doesn't feel as Hallmark to me. Like it feels a bit more like a genuine moment in time of happiness rather than the other one. The other one has too much of the pose and stuff has too much of a setup of something that I feel like I would see in a studio, or just from a photographer who
Yeah.
shoots family portraits. So outside of that, I think you're making really great work. You only have one owner, and I think that's unfortunate because I think these are priced really fair, and I think there's some really good stuff in here. And I would be surprised if after the AMA, I would not be surprised if there was some purchases or a purchase on your work after the AMA or something. I mean, I can't make any promises to that. I don't have the ETH, but
Don't worry.
I think it would be smart for someone to pick up, one or two of these because it's they're really good, and I think this is the type of series that would sell out over time. And I just don't know how long ago did you how long ago you listed these? 2 months ago. So 2 months ago, and you have at one sale. So
Yes.
I guess you have to question, what are you doing to, actively have people seeing your collection? And, I know you personally, Pranav, because I see your support all over my tweets all the time. You're up there in top 5, probably people that are super supportive to the things that I put out and say in my work. And I see you very active in MetaJungle. And so, I think you deserve some sales for sure. But I don't know, what you're doing outside of that. Have you joined any Twitter Spaces and stuff like that, and talked about what it's like to photograph these people? And because most people can't get portraits like this. It's very difficult.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Actually, I talked to many spaces, but still no sales.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, I mean, I don't have anything else. I think they're beautiful portraits. I think you have a great collection here. I think the collection is due to sell out at these prices. I just think that we need more eyes on it. I'll personally send out a tweet to my following, and I'll post 2 or 3 of my favorite photographs, and talk about how fairly priced they are, and see if we can get some collectors to pick some of these up. So I think
Yeah.
they're
Thank you.
really
Thank you.
good.
That's really appreciate that, Mike.
Yeah, no problem.
Great collection. Great collection. I'm
Yeah.
kind of eyeing that on the way to work. That's a really beautiful photo.
On the way, yeah.
Thank you.
I mean, dude, 0.1. I think that's a steal. That's a fantastic photograph. That's a difficult photograph to capture. That's a beautiful slice and moment in time that is a unique one of one. So I think it's
Yeah.
I think it's worth.
If any collectors are paying attention, that's the one.
Yeah, for sure.
Mhm.
So let's move on to the next collection.
Yeah. Once again, thank you, Dan, and thank you, Mike.
Oh, you're very welcome. Thanks
Sure.
for coming up. The Green Symphony. And I'll tell you what, I bought one of these right before the AMA because I was looking at this, and I bought right through heavy gas. I didn't even care because I liked the image so much, and this is the image I bought, and I didn't want someone else to get it. And so so I purchased this one today. I don't know if the artist is here. It's Ivan. Is Ivan here? Check the chat.
He looks like he's here. Yeah.
Yeah, he's here.
Hey Ivan, how are you?
How are you? Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very
Yeah.
much for your feedback, for your purchasing of my photo. It was a surprise. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I didn't get to post about it yet, but I'll wind up posting about it. I see a lot of this. I see a lot of this aurora borealis, northern lights photography, and I'll tell you one thing that I see a lot with this type of photography is poor compositions, and I think that's because it's hard to capture these lights in a good composition. And there was some that I liked better than this, but they were already purchased. But the fact that you were able to get this light coming across like this, with this beautiful mountain peak and this waterfall over here, just like even really sold me. And this blue light along here, almost like a car was coming by or something, and it was illuminating the shot. I was really blown away by that. And some of the
Thank you
ones
very
that are purchased already, are obviously really fantastic. I mean,
much. Yeah.
talk about photographers that want to go seek out urban exploration and like urban decay. Like, this is like poster for those people. Like, this is
Yes,
amazing.
my favorite place in Iceland. This wreck. I like
Yeah, I
to.
mean, yeah, you've got a lot of the same wreck, but go ahead
Yeah,
if you want.
I know, I know.
Do you want to speak a little bit about it?
Yes, because it's my favorite place about in Iceland because I have to walk 7 kilometers by feet to reach this wreck because you can go by car, okay? And I went to the night in the night with it was January, so winter, snow, very cold, but when you arrive to this plane, you find no one, nothing. So it's the better place to photograph for photographers to you can do every composition with lights, so on. So it's like a playground for photographers.
Look at this photograph. Jesus, this is
Yes,
so
but
beautiful.
this is a composite, so it's not really because I created this photo for the punk project CC0, okay, license. So
Well, it doesn't
it's
matter.
another okay.
It
The-
doesn't matter if it's a composite because
okay, okay.
we are in the NFT space, and the
Yes.
NFT space is a world of digital and
Okay, okay. But I
music and
prefer
photography.
for
So
my I prefer to say before. Okay.
yeah, but we're allowed to blur the lines here, right?
Yeah.
Because
It's
it's about
two
creating.
photos. Yes, two photos. One at the day with the girl above the plane. It was in my travel. I went to this plane. I found this girl above the plane doing this dance. I photographer, and then I added the northern lights of Iceland of another place. So it's a composite.
Fantastic.
Sorry
This
for
is
my English. Huh?
this is the one that I almost bought over the
Yeah,
other one because this feels really like some type of like Mars landing or like moon landing, and I'm
yeah,
really into like sci-fi. And
yeah.
there's like, yeah, I really wanted to pick this up, but I just I thought the other one was just a little bit stronger, and so I got the other one there. What do you think of these, Dan?
I think they're
Sorry.
gorgeous.
Ah,
Yeah, I think they're really, really beautiful. And I have never had the pleasure of seeing. I've seen low powered northern lights here locally, and I saw them a long time ago before digital photography was a thing up in Alaska. But these are
Jesus,
gorgeous. I mean,
look at this.
yeah,
this is
I was just gonna
panoramic
say
of yes,
that's pretty amazing.
shots, 10 shots for
I,
this panoramic. Okay.
I wish I had more ETH. Guys, go buy my work so I could buy his work. I wish I had my ETH. Um, yeah, man, these are how do we give feedback on this? Like, let's see. All right, so collection of 20, one of one. So it says a collection of 20. Up here it says 21. So there's
Yes,
something.
so I have added the composite. It's the composite photo for another project. So I have left 20 instead 21. So it's
So change this. Yeah, so change that to 21.
yeah, you are right.
Okay, so over the space of 6 years, I spent many nights in Iceland and Lofoten hunting for the aurora. I've always been fascinated by the northern lights, especially in special places in Iceland, like the wreckage of the airplane, to which I'm very attached. I can
Hmm.
see why. Green Symphony, Green Symphony because the movement of the green waves of light in the sky seems to follow almost a sweet music. I love your artist statement, and
Thank you.
I didn't even read the artist statement before I bought the photograph, and now I'm even happier that I bought it because in the artist statement it's so good.
Thank you.
You got to change that to 21, and that's all. But so what about going inside? Like, what about going inside
Inside
the wrecked
you
plane?
find nothing because there is all the wreck of the metal. Only the metal you find, but inside here there was my friend with a torchlight, so I take a photo.
Yeah, but I'm just wondering if you're inside of there and you're shooting out of the front of this opening of the plane, like what you can get with like an aurora background, like trying to thinking like outside the box in an abstract way, what you could get from the inside of the plane shooting out. You're gonna have
Or
to be
through a
kind of
window, maybe through one of the windows.
Yeah, I thought that exactly too. Like through a
Yes,
window, like what that could look like. Like getting
yes,
some more
uh,
abstract scenes within this body of work because
yes.
there
It
are a
could
lot
be
of
an idea.
similar.
Yes. Mhm. It could
You
be
know
it
what?
could be
Yeah,
an idea. Okay. Hmm.
yeah. You know what I'm saying?
This
I
is a
think I don't know that I
panoramic.
have a whole lot of other feedback. It's just great work. I've changed the number. The maybe the only thing that I would consider is I think there might be a couple of photos in here that are a little bit too similar. So to me, like number 13 and number
Okay.
16 are kind
Thank
of
you
the
very
same
much.
shot.
Hmm.
Let's see it. 13 and 16. Right. Oh wait, this is not in order. Even though I put it as oldest.
Thir 13 is lit
I
up
see
on the
13. Yeah,
inside.
that's 13
16
here.
is not. 16
Yes,
is
I
already
like.
sold,
Hmm.
but those two are a similar angle. So, um, and clearly for me, number 3 is the best of all, and it's already sold, but it's the best version from that angle.
Yeah, I
Like it's
agree. I agree.
super
Yeah.
interesting.
Hmm.
Yeah.
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 But I don't
Three.
know that you need to call these at all. Like I think we just need to get more eyes on it. And clearly
Yeah,
there's lots of likes.
absolutely.
People are seeing this. So,
Yeah, look, yeah, and there's 8 owners. I mean,
yeah.
like, this is the type of collection where like I reach out to collectors that are like big collectors, and I say like I would keep an eye on this because it's really well done and people are buying it, and I think the floor price is really fair for these images because
Yeah.
I see a
Thank you.
lot of images at this caliber with a floor price that's more like 0.25 or 0.3, and so me picking up this one here, I honestly I picked up something outside of the wreckage because I just felt like there was a lot of wreckage ones, and I kind of wanted to have something different from the series. Um, but yeah, I see this doing really well, and you've already got some good sales. So, what are your questions about the series, and what did you really
And
want
yeah,
from this AMA?
yes, my question is about the description of every photo. I have put the same description, but I it's better description for every photo different from another one, or it's right like that.
Okay, so
I can address that.
yeah, please go ahead.
Yeah, so one of the things I'm noticing, Ivan, is that you've got if I'm looking at an individual image, the description and the about the Green Symphony are identical, right? I mean, it's
Yeah,
the
yeah.
same thing.
Mhm.
And what
Yeah,
I would probably do if I were you, I mean, this is a lot of work, but it would be helpful to do even just a brief description of the individual pieces for the ones that aren't sold.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
and that just makes it a little more appealing to a collector who looks at this and goes, "Hey, I want to know more about this one." So
Ah, okay.
while you've got an overall great description of the series, it might be helpful to add a little bit of extra to the individual pieces.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so like for instance, like on this edition boardwalk shot that I just put out, I did you can do something very, very simple. Like you don't have to do a huge thing like that. I just put like a desolate boardwalk in Rockaway Beach is illuminated by the bright sun, creating a beautiful contrast of geometry built from light and shadow.
Mhm.
And so maybe you can just talk about, this wreckage piece, what it means to you, and why you're
Yeah.
drawn to it,
Okay.
why
Okay.
you're
Okay.
drawn to it, or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. Perfect.
And that would be perfect. You also, as far as a lot of the collectors are saying, you should have in all of your descriptions, it. I would even though it says created by Ivan up here, if anything had happened to OpenSea, I mean, it'd really be nice to have in the description. So, artist name, collection name,
Okay.
this piece is one of one, or art
Okay.
piece one of one in every single description,
Okay.
because
Thank you.
this,
Yes.
yes,
Perfect.
you should do that. You should do that today, because
Yeah.
if there's collectors watching,
Okay.
they
Yes.
like that. And that's it. I think we could move fast through this. I don't think you need any more feedback. I think you're an amazing photographer.
Thank you very much.
And clearly I bought something. So yeah, that's it. Just wanted to highlight that. Do you have anything else on this collection, Dan?
Nope.
Mhm.
All right,
Okay.
cool.
Thank you
It's
for
great.
the suggestions. Okay.
You
Thank you
got
very
it.
much.
You got
Bye.
it. Bye. So we have a Whimsical Teens by Shutterstopper, and I think they're here too.
Looks like it.
I don't know if
Yes,
they're
I'm here.
gonna.
Hello, Mike.
Hey, how are you?
I'm fine. What's about you, Mike?
What time is it there?
It's 12:32 a.m.
12. Okay, not too bad. Up late. So cool. So we're looking at this collection. Whimsical Teens, a collection of 10 one-of-one photographs of charming, radiant, and ecstatic reminiscence. I'm sorry, of childhood. Each photograph portrays a fanciful and impulsive tale of childhood. These images will make you feel deja vu. So, right off when I saw this collection, like Whimsical Teens, didn't make the most sense to me, because there's a lot in here that aren't teens, right? So like this mountain girl is clearly like a toddler, or less than that, or less than a toddler, and this kid I would also call a toddler. He's certainly not 13, at least from my understanding. Um, the most standout image to me is actually is this twist and turn shot. Um, I really love this silhouetted shot. I love the colors. I think the color relationship is beautiful between this orange and this blue sky. I love that this tree branch is just included and comes down, because without the tree branch, and without this little tree branch here, I mean, it would feel, I don't know. It gives it a little more life to it, to see this unsilhouetted kind of nature within the image. I really did like that one a lot. And you have another one that's kind of similar within the collection. I do think the silhouettes are really good. Um, so it's
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
it's from the same photo shoot. Clearly, we have that branch here, and I think they're both really great. The editing is the editing is a little different. It might be a little too different for me in the same collection, but it's probably a matter of opinion. Um, some of them to me seem a bit over processed, but I mean, you sold it. When I say over processed, I mean, like, I know that shadows were like heavily pulled up on this image, because like the sun is behind the image. So my personal taste is, a bit more shadows in those areas where it feels like there should be shadows, and you completely like removed those shadows. Do you feel, and how do you feel about any of the stuff that I've said, Dan? Are you on the same page with some of these?
Yeah. I have kind of some of the same thoughts. There's one that I really like the idea of, but when I go look at it, it's a little bit. It's number 9, and it's
Okay.
It says the plash. I'm guessing you meant to say the splash.
I thought that
Maybe-
too, but it says the plash down here too. So then I was
Yeah.
like, maybe I didn't
So I
know
don't-
what the plash meant.
Maybe it means something different, but to me, this one, I feel like this shot was probably underexposed, and you just pushed it to bring it back up, because the sun is super blown out on the left hand side, but then there's some pixelation happening in the sky. It feels like it's a little HDR, a little too HDR for my tastes.
Mhm.
But I love the concept of the photo, and I almost wonder if it wasn't pushed so hard, if it might be more appealing.
Feel the same way. So
Because
some of
this
them are
one,
just pushed.
it's the most whimsical childhood to me of the entire series.
Yeah,
Kid
exactly.
goofing
That's
off in the water.
I agree with that. I agree with that as well. And as far and this, so Fly High number one, and number four, Shine Your Light. It has the same sort of feel to me that was pushed, but I think in this one it worked better. I do still think that like you could bring down the saturation a little bit in this. I think like the yellows are just a little bit too yellow for me. The sky yellow, the sunflower yellow is a bit too yellow. I mean, maybe the greens can handle this level of saturation for me, but you could even see in the child's face that the saturation is bumped a little bit to the point where his skin tone is a bit redder than I think that it would be. So I mean, when people say, this is too saturated or this is too muted, and it's all a matter of opinion. And so I can only give you, my opinion on this type of photography and what I like to see in it. I do think that you capture some really nice moments. Like I think this moment is really nice, a really nice moment with the kid that you captured here. The weight. This one sold, right? And this is a beautiful shot of like, looks like a brother and sister, and he's like playing with something, and the sister's like admiring her older brother, and I think that's real beautiful. So we did sell on that one. And so this shot to me seems like it's like a little less a little less pulled on the editing, and I think maybe just because like this shot was exposed at it was more correctly exposed. The reds are a little heavy for me on the bus, but I do enjoy the kid's expression. He's running through the ring.
And this one works so well blown up. So if anybody else is watching, click on the link and go take a look at it, because
Yeah,
the shared screen share one it's not great looking, but when you look at the actual photo on the web, it looks great.
exactly. And your titles are really good, like title, drizzling moments. You got the artist, the collection name, the edition. You have the dimensions, the price, and then you have a story all written on there. So I think your descriptions are on point.
So I think my primary feedback here is this may be a language thing, just so I want you to think about this. I would think about renaming the collection, because as I'm looking at this, as a father of teenagers, I'm not really seeing any prototypical teenagers here. I mean, maybe one or two of these look like teenagers. The rest of them look like kids, younger kids. And I would just say whimsical children or kids, or pick your name for children, but I would keep it more generic than teens, because I expect teens when I come in here, and that's not what I'm seeing.
Yeah, I'm seeing more toddlers actually.
Yeah, toddlers and like 5 or 6 year old, that and I think that would give you a little more. It'd make it a little more coherent.
And so I'm wondering, like, do you have an Instagram? Like, so Instagram. So like, let's check out the Instagram, because sometimes maybe you don't have an Instagram. Sometimes I go onto the Instagram or a website and I find stuff that's like the artist didn't think about putting in, and there's something. So do you have any other sites where we could see your work?
Yeah, I I have linked my Instagram. You can see it on in my main profile, not in Whimsical Teens. Link
It's in
my
his
main.
link tree. Yeah.
Yeah, I got your link tree right here. So Instagram. I mean, this isn't part of that collection, but this is, you know, I really love that photograph. What do you got here? So a completely different collection, really beautiful photographs, beautiful light on these. Your engagement's amazing. I mean, 3,965 likes. Wonderful shot.
Yeah, my
Wow.
my gut is that while I think these are great photos, I don't know that it's the strongest collection. When I look at the rest of your work, I think that you have maybe
Yeah.
some other stronger themes that you
Look at
could
the
lean
top.
into.
Yeah, look at these top 3 images right here.
Yep.
I mean,
Actually,
it's
I'm
just
working on a new collection, so the other pictures will be there. So I minted my first collection in a hurry, so that's probably my mistake. So I
look at
will
this
work on
shot.
it.
Hmm.
Yep.
Yeah,
And there's
I
a whole
think
bunch of them that have that smoky, foggy vibe.
yeah, I think you have a lot of great work, and you have many different collections. You just kind of have to. That's gorgeous street work. Um, you know, I think you just have to figure out what fits into what collection. That's amazing. Um, like I see a collection like this shot in the same collection, this
Yep.
shot, this shot. These are amazing. Like, see, that's the thing about me is I could literally go through your Instagram and put together something that could be really stunning. Like this here, you did this, you created this. Like in my opinion, why isn't this your Genesis collection? You know, versus the one that you chose to be your Genesis collection. It's just I'm just going to be completely honest with you. It's not as strong as what I'm seeing here, and this is why I love to pull up people's other work.
That one, the one you just passed, Mike. Go back up, right on the right hand side. Keep going.
Here,
One more. Look at that one.
yeah,
And look at the one on the other side too, on the other side of the grid.
yeah.
These
He's got
are
a
all.
great eye. Like,
So if there's any feedback we can give you here, it's that while we like your work that you've posted and you asked us to look at, I think you just have a lot stronger work. And I would, I would kind of think about that as you move forward. And maybe, run some of this stuff in the MetaJungle Discord, run it by your friends, because you have a lot of beautiful, strong work. I think that this collection is not representative of how good of a photographer you are. And I feel like it feels a little bit forced. Like the idea, this theme feels a little forced. When I look at your work, I don't see a lot of this kind of, of children candids, but I see a lot of other really great work. And this one feels like it's maybe just a little bit too forced.
yeah, like you were trying to
Not
come up with this.
good, but just the theme feels forced. Like you don't have quite enough that fits well into that theme.
Mm-hmm.
Sure, Mike, and then I will work on it. And I might need some help to curate my next collection, so I will DM any of you.
Feel free.
So
Always
I mean,
welcome.
you just saw a few of them that I pointed out that were like environmental portraits of people, like the guy with the red cloth, and the woman in the field, and some of the other ones. And I think that's a beautiful collection of environmental portraits of people doing their craft, their work. I think that is really strong, and I think maybe that's a collection that you should be looking at. And I think we got to move on to the next one because we're only 4 in.
Agreed.
Cool. So thanks for having you, man.
Sure. And thank you so much for the feedback. I will
No
work on
problem.
it. Thank you.
So we have black and white portraits by Devon Osta. And
Yeah.
Let's read into this a little bit. So I always loved people, talking to strangers, having conversations about anything, lovers, families, at a coffee house, bar, street, anywhere. I saw no harm when you smile at anyone. A snap made these moments permanent. My black and white portraits collection starts from 90s when I was a foreigner in the United States. Wow, I've been shooting for a long time, over 20 years. I had so many intimate stories with the people I photographed. I share some of the stories with you. Total 20 photographs, edition 1 of 1, under CC0, photographed by Devon. Let's take a look. So you call the series Black and White Portraits. The first thing I notice is that, a lot of these are actually not portraits. So like something like this, I would not consider to be a portrait. I wouldn't obviously we're not considering this to be portrait either. So the name of your series doesn't quite make sense to me. There are a few in here that I really thought were strong moments. I think Punk Boy Haircut is like a super iconic classic photograph.
Right.
It feels like it was taken from that punk era time. Like this feels like it was taken in the 90s. The kid pulling his hair down, his expression, the kid holding the brush in his hand with the spiked hair and the rancid shirt. Really badass. You like this shot, Dan?
Oh, I love it. It's like such an iconic, like it has all the things. This is photojournalism.
Oh,
in ways. Yeah, like that's one of the reasons why I zeroed in on this one from all the collections and said, hey, I think this is one of the first ones I tagged and said, hey, we got to cover this one. That Punk Boy Haircut, to me,
This is the
maybe
shot.
that's the most strong piece for me. It's the one that grabs my attention the most of this collection. And it's because these have a very photojournalistic feel to them.
Yeah.
But I totally agree with you, Mike. I think there are a few photos that you should just pull right out of here.
Yeah. Like I want to own this photograph, but I don't want to own it because it's within a collection that's not as at this caliber. It's in a collection of other things that are not at the caliber of this photograph. Like this is a very, very, very hard moment in time to capture. And I even love that. I know that it's film because I can tell because I could see hair. I could see hairs on your negatives,
Right.
but I like
Dust,
it.
yeah.
But I want
Dust
it.
and hair.
Yeah,
Devon, Devon's here in the room, or Devon is here in the room with us.
Yes, I'm here.
What's up, Devon?
Hey,
How's it going?
Hey, thank you so much for the feedback.
Sure, dude. This is another phenomenal one, I think, right here. Wedding in an abandoned house. This is not a typical wedding shot, but God, this is absolutely beautiful. I could see this. I could see this in on Vogue. Honestly, she's absolutely beautiful. Her closed eyes, the wind blowing her hair and her veil, the perfect black and white contrast and editing, or not even editing. I guess if you're maybe you dodge and burn if it's this whole film.
Mostly, 95%.
Okay, cool. So yeah, this is another one that's very standout to me. So you can see I favorited that. So let's see. I really enjoy this one too. I feel emotion. I feel something from her. I love that it's shot through I believe a window and that the reflection
Exactly.
a lot of times a reflection can overshadow the actual image and in spaces where it takes away from it, and I feel like in this one it did not do that. It almost feels like she's growing out of this flower. And it's really beautiful. It's another shot. So I'm going to point out the ones like that really stand out to me first, and so this is not a portrait, but it kind of, I mean, it's an environmental portrait, like, and this shot really stands out to me. It's really beautiful. I love how the light's laying on the face. Your black and whites are nailed here. Like this is great black and white photography because it's high contrast, deep shadows and highlights, battle of light and dark. And there's really great storytelling and a really beautiful composition in this shot, Sunbath.
Agreed.
Right, and so, and
Same
then we
thing
have
with Nap with Swan is kind of the same. It's in a boat. It's not really a portrait per se.
It is. It feels claustrophobic to me, or tight a bit though.
Yeah.
It just feels like the composition's a little too tight, and I think maybe you cropped this, and I want more negative space from her head to the right side of the frame, and maybe a little more negative space above the swan. And I feel like it would feel a little less close. Maybe that can't be done because maybe maybe it's shot this way, or maybe
Yeah, it was shot that way. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, I totally
don't be
agree
sorry.
with you. Totally.
Don't be shot. So I don't know. Maybe the image is horizontal then. Maybe the swan
Yeah.
is not involved, and maybe the image is here, from
Right.
here to here, and it's about her, and that's it. Maybe crop this. Let's forget about the swan. Um,
I totally
because
agree. I was literally holding my hand over blocking the swan out.
I
So
love it.
I
I love it, Dan. The dynamic that we have with the AMAs, because it really helps that we're on the same page about a lot of things, and it's good that we're not on the same page about some other things too. And
yeah.
so, there's a lot in here that I did not favorite. And so, well, there's a few where it feels like it's an image from the same day, and so it's like, so this shot here, I like it. I think it's an interesting shot. It almost, oh wow, I was gonna say it looks like she's painting her doll, and if I had to pick, it would be this one, so I'll favorite this one. And you have another shot of her here, um, adding makeup. I don't think this is as strong as the doll one. I do, there's a lot of shots of women adding makeup that I do think are strong, and I don't know if it's the fact that, sorry, there's an airplane passing my house right now. If it's the fact that this is heavily a distraction to me. This like plug outlet makes no sense to the mood of the image, and this top part here, this black uh, part, which is maybe the top of a door, is not exactly, like there's just some elements to it where I don't find it to be the strongest image. And I can clearly tell that, these shots are from the same day, and I could be wrong, but it feels like it's
Yes,
from the
it's the same day.
yeah, same thing feels the same here with the proud cowboy, this shot here,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
And while I think that's a great shot, and it should be favorited, you have another shot of him here, and
yeah.
feels like the same day, right? And so you tell us that
Yes, same day.
yeah, and so you tell us you've been shooting since the '90s, and so it's like, it makes me wonder why you have multiple images from the same day within a series, when maybe you can pick, maybe the flag shot's better, maybe the doll
It
shot's
is.
better, you
Mm-hmm,
know.
mm-hmm.
So maybe you need to lose this, maybe you need to lose the makeup one, and
Yeah.
then there's some other shots that maybe this needs to be renamed too, like in or not, or maybe all the stuff that's not portraits needs to come out,
Mm-hmm.
or it needs to be portraits, right? So
Yeah.
um, let's see this shot, because I haven't opened it, and while an interesting moment, I don't think the editing fits the rest of the editing. This feels sepia tone. This feels sepia tone. It also feels like there's a lack of clarity, and it feels a little bit more um, soft to me.
Mm-hmm,
So I
mm-hmm.
don't know if it
But
matches. Go ahead.
it also has a huge story in the description. So
Yeah,
I can
the
tell that
a few of
it's
them.
meaningful to you. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But one thing, Devon, one thing that's odd for me about this one is it's also not very high res. So I wonder, um, this one's a lot lower res than almost all the other photos.
Yeah,
How can you
that's right.
tell when I click on it and it
Yeah, look
opens
how
up to this?
small it is.
Yeah.
And because of that, it kind of bothers me. I don't think it's high res enough to be an NFT. Like I think you may want to think about, like, if anybody's going to own this, it's not going to look good in a gallery
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
at that
True.
res.
Yeah. And so, let's go back to this shot. So like, Woman Under the Rain, it's another low res shot, right? And so, and
Yeah.
also it's a tough sell for me as a shot, just because, you know, if let's say we remove the woman from the picture, I actually like the layers of different colors here going on and happening.
Mm-hmm.
But for the woman to stay in the picture, I don't know that I like that she's carrying a white bag. Like I kind of want to see her figure more. So I don't know that this is the strongest shot. I think that that can come out if I think that if this series is 20 images, I mean, I think it could be 8. Honestly, I think it could be like 8
My
images.
my gut is you probably have a lot more to pick from, just from what I'm looking at here.
Yeah,
And
from
and I would
outside
think
of
that
this.
you don't necessarily have to trim it down. You might want to replace some, because I think 20 is a decent size. But I agree with Mike that there's a lot of duplicates and there's some things that just aren't as strong here. And
Yeah.
yet you've obviously been doing this for a long time, so I'm guessing you have a lot more negatives. And
Yeah.
yeah, and I would guess if some of these, like the older man, like that, I bet you can get a higher res scan of that if you've got the negative.
Yeah, I got the negative. It's 4x5.
Yeah.
But look, the best images are high res. To me,
Yep.
the best images actually are the high res ones. So like the punks too wasn't that big. Yeah,
It's pretty good size, yeah.
yeah. It's and so
The other thing that's a little weird is that I will say this: the Mr. Russell, even
Yeah.
though it says it's 1900 by 1287, but it's not that big. So you uploaded a lower res version to OpenSea.
Maybe, yeah, that's right.
So you may want to
Sure,
think
so-
about that.
yeah. So you have some work ahead of you on this, right? So I think either you can't have black and white portraits and have like
Yes,
beach wire.
that's right. That's right. I
Beach
know.
wire, right?
Yeah.
So you have a couple of things to work on here, right? One is like culling down some of the images that they will look like they were shot on the same day, because like we want this to look like a body of work that was over a long period of time, and some of the best shots from that period of time.
Yeah.
Two is like the consistency in the actual black and white, because like if I look at this, we'll open up this one here. This one does not feel like film to me. This feels like digital that you edited black and white.
Oh no, it's completely tri-X, shot with tri-X, Kodak tri-X.
Okay, and I'm wrong. So
Yeah, but yeah, it may seem like it. Sure, I see, I understand.
Yeah, and there's something enjoyable about this. I don't know about the crop for me. Like I kind of wish this was in like the original crop form. Like I kind of want. I
Was
kind
this
of
shot
want.
on 4x5? Devon, is
Sorry?
this 4x5 or was this on 35 millimeter?
No, this was on 35 millimeter.
Okay.
Yeah, it's 35, so I want to see it as 35. You know.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think
Because it feels cropped.
I think we've given some pretty good feedback here. We probably should get moving on.
Yeah, we do. We do have to
Yeah.
get moving on. But you have some solid banger photographs in here, and you just have to call outs, or pull in some of your other stuff. But
Sure,
thanks,
I'll
bro.
do that. And I want to ask you, when I hide stuff, I still see some the hidden on my collections. The last
Delete
time
them.
you told. Oh, okay.
So-
Completely
yeah,
delete them, right?
Yes,
Devon,
delete.
you actually can't hide anything that's not. So anything that's on OpenSea that is
Mhm.
your created work, you cannot hide it.
Okay, so I have to completely delete it, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And
Yes.
Okay.
something to keep in mind, if it's not minted, if it's not actually minted, you can just delete it. Maybe copy your description down and put it in a text file somewhere in case you want to post it again later.
Yeah.
But yeah, you just delete them.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much for the feedback. Perfect feedbacks. Thank you.
Oh,
Yeah,
you're
thank
welcome.
you.
Thank you for taking the feedback and being up here. It
Thank
takes
you.
courage. Appreciate that.
Okay.
Hey, Mike,
So
can I
moving
cut
on.
in for a sec?
Yeah, sure.
We
Who's
just
that?
have a request. This is Goon. We just had a request from Astrophene. He has to leave at 3. Is there any way we can do his
Yeah,
work
let's go.
before
Let's do his.
Okay.
Let's do his.
Thanks.
Absolutely. I'm finding him here. Astro. Yeah, here he is. Yeah, this works amazing. I loved it. Jeez. Another series priced at 0.1 that has no sales, and if I had the ETH, I'd be picking some of these up. Yeah, really, really beautiful astrophotography, right? So, I'm not gonna read your artist statement just because like this is a long day. We have a lot of photographers and stuff like that, and so but like, wow, I opened up this one and I was like, this looks like a heart. And not only does it look like the traditional Valentine's Day heart, but it actually looks like a real human heart also.
Pretty cool.
And I'd love for you to speak on, because like when I look at this, it's so good that it's like, this feels kind of fake. And like these stars here, like this is real deep space photoed stars, and this is not Photoshop. Can you speak on this?
Sure, absolutely. Hey, Mike. So thanks for having me here. Absolutely. And you know what? Tell you actually the truth. Those spikes are not, people don't like those spikes in astrophotography. That's the truth. So because I use my DSLR camera, Canon 80D actually to photograph that. And because of the structure of the sensor and the lens, I mean not the lens, sorry, the structure of the sensor. So the stars that you see here, you'll see the spikes on the stars, okay, and which normally astrophotographers, especially deep space photographers, don't like them, but I like them. I it's it just gives a sense of kind of an artistic to the image, but at the same time it's real. Okay.
So this is
Yeah.
real.
Yes,
So
sir.
this is a one of a kind piece. If somebody doesn't pick this up for 1.5, the next time I get 1.5, I'm buying this. So like I don't
Yeah.
I think this is, and in just looking at this and thinking to myself what I thought NFTs should look like before I knew that NFTs could be anything, like this fits so well. It has the colors. It has like the cyberpunk colors, but of space. It just has this. It has that heart. I don't even know what's coming out here. Like I just think it's absolutely a phenomenal image. And you've priced it higher, a little bit higher than the other ones. And I think, but I think that they're all really, really, really good. And I purchased from a photographer recently who did some of these deep space ones, and his are moving with After Effects. But like, I don't even want this to be moving with After Effects. Like, I love it as a still image. I love this as a still image. The Pallades, your descriptions are really on point. You're a great astro. Do you want to speak on this, Dan?
Yeah, I think these are great. This is an area of astro that I haven't really done, the deep space, and
Yeah.
I'm super impressed. These are really cool.
Yeah. And so, two images here are pretty similar, right? So it's like the Elephant's Trunk Nebula and the North America Nebula. I was trying to figure out which one I liked better. I think I went with the North America Nebula just because this seems a little flatter, where this had this like black opening that added this like depth. And I think with these types of photographs, depth and dimension is an important aspect of a deep space photograph. So I did like this one better. I'm not saying that you need to remove the other one. It's a small series anyway, but I love these abstract sort of shots there. So so you haven't had any sales. When I don't even have to ask. I guess I can just look myself. 20 days ago. All right, 16 days ago. So 16 days it's been live because you minted it at 0.15. And what about these ones that are 0.1? 16 on the same day. So you haven't sold anything. This has been up for over 2 weeks. So talk to me on that. Why do you think these haven't been sold, and what have you done to get these in the eyes of the community?
Sure. Yeah, I mean, like you said, it's just been 2 weeks actually that I minted those. I mean, have them listed there, but yeah, I mean, it kind of pretty new, when I joined MetaJungle actually, and before putting all those actually listed on OpenSea, I went through all your AMA feedback, and I tried to complete and work a lot on the descriptions. So if you look at the descriptions of the images, like all of them, you see a lot of technical details there, and I tried to list it all those technical details that I actually thought that a collector may need to know because that's kind of a reflection again on how much effort that we astrophotographers we put in order to just take a
Absolutely.
picture.
And that's
So
why
yeah,
I buy a lot of astrophotography work, because I know that this stuff is not easy and you need patience, and you could go out there and there's clouds and then you're screwed. And so when you're looking through the lens, you see this composition, or you're hoping that it comes out this way.
you don't see when you look at through a telescope, even in a good one like a 20-inch telescope, even if you're in a very dark area, like in the deserts around in Arizona or New Mexico, which is like the best place there, you will see actually just those 7 stars, okay, maybe a little bit of dust and gas, okay, and not much. So what we try to do, we just try to take those shots like each 5 minutes and try to stack them on computer so you can see all those dust and gas actually better. So absolutely, you will never ever get to see all those dust and gas through a telescope. Maybe
And
Orion Nebula, because that's one of the the biggest and brightest deep sky object. So even if you are in a really dark area with a good telescope, you can see a good actually amount of dust and gas around it, okay.
and if you
And
take a look at the description, take a look at the descriptions. He's got a whole teardown of what he's done here, like 22 dark frames, 60 normal frames, there 45 by 300 light
Insane.
frames.
Yeah,
So
it's
this
yeah,
is the only one here that you can kind of like, I would say also Andromeda. You'd have to be zoomed in pretty far, but you can see Andromeda in a normal,
sure,
in a normal night shot.
absolutely. Yeah,
But
so I
it's
mean,
nowhere
I'm
near this
trying,
detailed and has no color.
right.
So
I mean,
to
so
give you a
Mike,
little,
I mean, back, yeah,
go ahead.
back to your question. I'm trying to be active. I go to a lot of spaces, and I'm not actually afraid to talk. And I'm not shy, and because that's my job. I speak a lot. So I mean, I try to go a lot of spaces and just jump in and talk about myself and what I do, and try to kind of raise the awareness about astrophotography. That hey, look, it's not easy. It's really, really difficult. So yeah.
Yeah. So if I could give a constructive feedback, the weakest one in the series for me is this one, and I think it's because like I don't know if your ISO is too high, but what if you used in Lightroom the dehaze filter? It seems really hazy, and it made it like more dark, and then the center of this could be like bursting through, because there's just I don't know what about this one. Is it just
Okay.
me?
I mean, no, I mean those are dust and gas actually around that. So Mark, but yeah, I mean absolutely, I can definitely work on that and try to dim a little bit. Sure.
Yeah, try the dehaze filter and see what that does to this image.
And I've got a suggestion there as well. Being, like I'm somebody who shoots astro as well, and I think that all of these the questions of color, the questions of things like cloud and gas and things like that, while you may be trying to be accurate, you have to think about why the collector wants to buy it. And so perhaps there might be some artistic license that would be okay here if you want it to be a little bit more appealing. And I think Mike's suggestion makes some sense there. Like you said, dehaze would probably make that one just fit in a little bit better.
So yeah, that was actually another good question that I mean that a good comment that I was gonna ask too, because I try to be very accurate on the colors when I do photograph them, and my reference is NASA website, so I try to go there and see what the Hubble actually telescope colors look like, and I try to be consistent, okay, with those things. That's why I always say astrophotography is just art and science. It's not just art, so there is science as well. So I try to like to keep things the way they are, okay. So that's the whole thing, that the colors that you see, I try to keep them the way they are.
Right. But one of the things that's I think also good to just realize is that even even in that wave of things, if there's something happening in our atmosphere, it can affect what you're seeing, right? if there's any kind of air glow or particle things happening in our atmosphere, it can change it up a little bit. So I think it's okay to have a little bit to relax it a little bit and maybe not change the colors, but maybe clarify things just a little bit so you can bring focus on the part that is the most interesting part of the photo.
Great. Absolutely. Thank you.
I like this though. And I would say, just this is one where I think it would make sense to keep, not to, I know we've said a lot about that you can keep collections tight and maybe don't add to them. Like this is one of those kind of collections that I think almost might make sense to be not an open collection necessarily, but something that you're going to add to because it's obviously something you're passionate about. So whether it's adding to this collection or whether it's adding new, versions of the collection and new volumes, I think that this is a great way to go, and you can just keep adding to it.
Yeah, with that, I think we need to move on just because I think we're like not even halfway there yet.
Yeah, agreed.
Thank you so much. Thanks, Mike. Thanks, Dan.
And I mean,
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
yeah, no problem. And I mean, Dan, if you need to leave at any time, that's fine. I am going to power through all of these, but
looks like
feel
we've
free.
got about 7 left. So
Yeah,
let's crank on this.
I'm gonna stick around and I'm gonna crank through them all. So whether you have something to do or not, but we'll let's take a look at Turquoise Dreams.
I'm good till probably close to I got another hour or so, maybe a little bit less.
Yeah, that's fine. And if you happen to drop off, that's fine, and I'll finish on the last few. But
All right, I won't just ghost.
Cool. All right, Turquoise Dreams by Matt Walsh. A collection of underwater moments from the Pacific Ocean. My goal here is to share the beauty of the underwater world with you, as well as making you feel what it's like to experience these moments. The collection is tended to support the Maumana, that sounds like Hawaii, Foundation, to support shark research and conservation programs in French Polynesia. Okay, I'm wrong. To do so, 100% of the earnings will go to the foundation. To do so, 100% of the earnings. He's giving 100% of the earnings away. The Ocean Gate.
One of the things I was going to add something that Matt has been pretty successful on Foundation, and part of his reason he wanted feedback is because this collection has not done very well.
Okay. Cool. So let's talk about it then. I have favorited a few here that are real standouts to me, and so let's I'll click on some of those and let's start with those. So this one here, back to mom. I love this shot. There's something so beautiful about the movement going upwards and the tail at the bottom, and not only that, but these like streaks. It looks like it's like in Star Wars when the credits are fading out at the end, like this. It looks like there's this like these leading lines out into the center of nothingness. There is something here that bothers me a little bit. This is just this. I don't know what this is. Oh, is that another animal? I thought it was like a lens.
Hey everyone.
You here?
Yeah, I can hear. Can you hear me?
Sure. So I love this image. Is this another like
Actually,
whale or
this is the mom. The mom
wow.
is waiting below because the baby went up to the surface to breathe, and he's just coming back to his mom.
Yeah, phenomenal photograph. And so that was one of the ones to me that really stood out. Let's see, another one to me that really stood out was Whaleception. The composition on this is flawless. I think I love how they're not overlapping each other really. Like, this one's overlapping this one a little bit, but it's not enough to bother me. And they're all headed in this direction. You got these light streaks coming down, and I love that the most detailed one is this guy right in the front, and I love all these little details on the face, and that's just an absolutely beautiful photograph to me. And this the young hunter, another really great one. He looks his dancing posture, the light rays, the little bubbles that are coming off the back here. That's a great shot. And I had a few others here. I thought this one was really good too. That is he? It almost looks like he's upside down. No, he's not. He's right side up. But I love how you can see the surface that he's very close to the top, the sun shining right down, the rays coming down. The sun rays are really beautiful in a lot of these. And I'm going to talk about one last more that I really liked, and that was Dolphins from the Deep. And it's really cool how they're just kind of like shooting up like bullets and barreling up to the top. And once again, these rays of light and then these abstract patterns on the dolphins are just really gorgeous. I like this image very much. So this is the type of series that I do feel like can use like some culling down. I definitely think there's some in here that are just not quite as good as the others. Like, maybe Three Little Whales, good but not as good as these three guys. I just don't. Yeah, I don't think. I don't. Go ahead.
I want to add
Yeah,
something there.
yeah, please. Yeah, please.
Whaleception is the kind of photo that fits in with the foundation work that you've been selling, Matt.
Yeah,
And
actually,
same with
when I
Meeting
put this
Giant.
collection out, I wasn't on foundation yet. So these were the very first images I've minted back then.
So what do you think is I guess you asked us, but I'm curious what you think is the difference, because I'm looking at your foundation page and you've got one sold for 1, you've got another one sold for 1, you've got another one sold for 1.4, one for sold for
1.4 ETH.
Yeah, 1.22. You've had some great sales. I'm curious what you think is the difference, because you're no stranger to the space here on Twitter. I know who you are, but I am kind of curious what you think is the difference. Why aren't collectors finding this other work?
Honestly, I'm not sure. Maybe since I priced my foundation work like higher prices, maybe it was perceived as more valuable. Maybe.
I mean, I think I have an answer. The way it's curated, like, look at this. Like, every shot is an amazing shot, and so these people on foundation see you as someone that doesn't take anything that's mediocre, like, because these are all just so good. And so when we take away that and we go back to this, there's just some shots in here that just aren't that excellent. And I just like, while I think this is good, I just don't think that it has the impact that some of the other ones have in a fine art aspect. And so, I think that this, that's cool. I think that this series needs to be culled down from like 15 to like 7,
Okay.
Yeah, I think
I don't disagree. Yeah,
it just needs to be culled down. It's like these 3 shots right here, they're just really similar, and then they're just not. Let's open this one up, right? It's like close encounter, but it's just it doesn't have what your foundation has. There's too compositionally, it feels a little off. The placement of the fish feels a little bit off, in a sense that just like things just didn't line up in like they just didn't turn out clockwork and beautiful like some of your other stuff did on foundation. And that's just right.
Matt, let me go ahead, Mike.
No, go ahead, please.
I was going to say, part of what I would ask, the question I would ask is, you obviously have some success on foundation selling these pieces at higher prices. And I think those are higher quality work than what you're showing here. So my question is, what is the intention with this collection? Like, what are you hoping to accomplish at these 0.2 pricing compared to what you're doing over on foundation? Like, why? I don't mean to be rude here. Why does this exist? What are you hoping to do with this? Why do you have these out price point?
You put them out first.
I mean it as an honest question. Like,
yeah. Yeah, as I said, it was my very first collection, the very first images I've minted, way way before Foundation or other platforms. And yeah, the goal was to raise some fund for an upcoming study for the foundation, the Maumana Foundation. So it was priced accordingly to the funds that were still needed for the study. So that's
No,
what.
and I understand that.
Yeah.
That makes sense. I think what I would maybe consider, I'll just say that I think there's a lot of us that if we had the success that you've had on Foundation, I would maybe think about drastically cutting this, or maybe even getting rid of this collection altogether and starting to push this work over to Foundation.
I mean, he can't get rid of it altogether because
No,
he
no,
has to do sales.
you can get rid of all but the ones that have sold. I know that sounds a little weird, but I just don't know that this is serving you as an artist very well, because
Yeah.
these are not. My gut is, aside from a handful of these, they don't serve you your artistic vision for what I've seen you're capable of on Foundation and Super Rare.
Yeah, I completely agree. And if you were going to keep the collection, I mean, I would stay in the realm of like these three right here that are favorited, and like maybe not even this one I favorited of the Dolphins, but like these three, you know, I think speak a little bit closer to your stuff on Foundation. I don't think anything else actually does.
Yeah, and I mean that in a hopefully constructive way. You're very successful here. You have great work. You're doing some great things to give back. I think it's stalled out because I just don't think it has the same appeal as the other work does.
Okay. Okay, I
And
understand that.
yeah, and I'm happy to have more, if you wanted to DM or get more feedback, I'm happy to, have ongoing conversations with you. I really love your work. I mean, there's a reason why I said, "Hey, Mike, we got to get Matt in here," because there's a conundrum here to figure out what you're supposed to do.
So yeah, I mean, it's yeah, I would either call it down, and I would make it so if you sold 1, 2, 3, right? So then
Yeah.
maybe 4, 5, 6. The collection is 6. Sell out the 6, be done with it. Or I'm less opposed to just having a 3-shot sold out collection. I think it looks kind of strange. I mean, this shot that's sold right here and is reselling for 2 ETH. I don't even think it's anywhere near the best shot in the series. So sorry, I person who bought it, but I'd have bought this, or
Right.
I'd have bought this instead. But that's just me. That's my
Well, and
um,
let me add something else here. I think we all get tied up in the idea of, and I do the same. I see my collection and I think, well, what will if I just delete things? What are people going to think? And I think the reality is nobody's going to think squat. Nobody comes and looks around looking for your old collections. Like, that just doesn't happen for most of us. We all think that, well, if I have a weird collection, well, if you don't talk about it, nobody's going to find it. I mean, they might if they're really looking, but the average person is never going to stumble on a collection that you're not promoting.
yeah. And the truth is, the people that bought from the collection actually benefit if you tone down this collection to 6 images rather than 15. They'll benefit because then you'll sell out the collection, and then they at least get to be part of the collection.
Okay.
Hopefully
Yeah.
that's helpful, Matt.
Yeah, I thought about that, or even deleting the collection. But yeah, I was also thinking, wait, what about the people who actually bought some images
Yeah.
here?
So you can't
Yeah,
delete the whole thing.
Well, and
yeah.
you can do one other thing. I have a collection that our own Alpha Trilogy had bought from, and I reached out and said, "Hey, you've bought from this collection, but it's not moving. How do you feel if I delete some photos and maybe add some back in that are more appropriate?" And he was like, "Yeah, go for it." And then he immediately bought one of the new ones I put in there. So
I've done the same thing with Alpha Trilogy too. I've done the same thing because it's respectful to reach out to the collector and let them know what your intentions are because they collected from you.
And I've done that with a couple other collections as well, where only 1 or 2 pieces had sold, and I said, "Hey, I'm gonna trim this down a bunch. How do you feel about that?" And they're like, "Yeah, go for it. I got the piece I like, and it makes it more valuable if you get rid of the stuff that's not moving."
Yeah, I think it's a good idea. Maybe
Cool.
just deleting some and adding some new images, maybe.
Also, I really like Smiling Shark. I'll just throw that out there.
Yeah, I
Oh,
love it.
yeah, that's a good one too. Smiling Shark.
Especially
Yeah.
if you blow it up big.
Ooh, I
Some
love the
images,
patterns. The patterns
It's
on the
not
shark.
this one's not served well by OpenSea. This one would
Yeah,
do so well, I think, on Foundation.
sure. I agree with that one. I missed that one. I'll hit favorite on it. So yeah, I think we got to move on. I think you got all the feedback you need here. I think you're obviously fantastic at photographing these. I would be scared shit to be down there photographing these photographs, and those ones on Foundation are really really good, and there's some really good ones in this collection here. But it's a shame that they're just shadowed by some that just aren't as good. And so I think that's
Matt also has a super rare Genesis as well.
And he's on super rare.
Yep, and it's a
Yeah.
beauty.
I can't get on.
You're good to go, Matt.
I can't get onto super rare. I've tried so far. I eventually I'm going to, but my best work's yet to be made. So
Okay.
Congratulations, brother.
Thanks.
Okay, some wildlife of the Himalaya.
Cool. So let's move on to Mano. He's been trying to apply for a couple of weeks now, and so we're finally going to get to him here. And so I've given him some own one-on-one personal feedbacks and stuff. Are you here with us today, Mano? Can you his mic unmuted? He's not here. Maybe he's maybe it's late. Oh no, he's here. Mano JPM. I see him. Hello.
Hi. Yeah.
Hey, how's it going?
Yeah,
So
all good.
good, man. So we've talked a bit about this collection, and so he's shooting wildlife in the Himalaya, and I didn't know this, but so if you open up these images here, so these are snow leopards, and a lot of his stuff is has a camouflaged the snow leopards camouflaged in the image, and so a lot of the people of India had told me that this is an extremely dangerous thing to photograph because I guess snow leopards are, I would assume, fast and unpredictable and territorial and badass because they live in the snow. Is that true?
Yeah, it's true. It's too hard to get a photograph of snow leopard.
Sure.
Actually,
And
it's around 14,000 feet, and it's too hard to get there.
This
and
is
so go
this
ahead.
is the whole premise of the end of The Secret Life of Walter Mitty, right? Sean Penn's
Yeah,
character.
you remember that dialogue, right?
Oh yeah, it's one of my favorite movies.
And so it looks like what you're doing is that you're camouflaging these snow leopards. And so I think that this work would work really well in a gallery where it's blown up like 50 by 70 or something. But it's hard to work well on a computer screen for me because it's difficult for me to identify the snow leopard. Like if I hadn't known that this is called that perfect camouflage, it'd take me a little bit to notice the snow leopard. And so this is done in a lot of images, right? And so the first one was an example, and then so this one I like this king of his kingdom. I'll tell you though that this rock right here, I would content aware remove that rock. Like I feel I put my hand over this, and like I feel like I want my eye to be on the snow leopard here, right? And maybe even some of these other little dots here you can heal out and whatnot, or I wonder if the composition was like even pulled in some and the snow leopard wasn't so far away, if it would be even more compelling. But like once again, like I think this shot would look so much better in a museum blown up really big to show the scale. How do you feel about these images and the camouflage, Dan, and you know what I've been
I have
speaking about?
Yeah, I have the same exact thoughts. Every one of these, okay, so a couple things. All of the shots of the snow leopards, I want to be cropped in a little bit. Not a lot, but a little bit. And the first one I thought of is hide and seek. There's so much space on the right-hand side of the image and so much space on the left-hand side that just doesn't do anything for the shot. And I think that the icicles and the open space behind the cliff are great. And I think that if you were tighter, it would be more obvious that what you're looking at here, right? It's so well camouflaged that I would pass right by this without even seeing what was going on.
Yeah, I wouldn't. And I did pass by it. I didn't even see the snow leopard. But had the crop been this, I'll make a circle around the area, like
Yep.
something like this.
Same thing. Yeah.
Right?
And go look at the rest of them. 3 and 1. There's the entire left-hand side of the image just doesn't. It's not necessary, and it doesn't really add to the photo. It'd make a really interesting vertical. It's the white one with the
Which
bottom,
one?
the last one in your grid.
Oh, okay. Yeah, and this one's sold. This one is sold.
Yeah, and it's beautiful, but I think that it's such a powerful image, and I would just cut that entire right side off or left side off.
Yeah, there's so much negative space to me that like I see the image. So this first of all, this up here is not helpful to me. These stones at the top of the frame. So I would like either crop here, right at the bottom of this, and I would go in this direction, and I'd probably start dropping down around here. Like, because there's a whole inch over here of like negative space that's really not needed unless you're posting this in a museum and it's tremendous scale. Then I think it's fine. But we're all looking at this on our telephones or our smartphones, and we're looking at this on our computer screens, and it's just not lending the beauty in which the image possesses at such a small scale for us to view it in. So I think it needs that crop on the devices that we're going to be looking at this as an NFT.
Yeah, I agree. So, and that's probably all I would do. I mean, I think everyone with the snow leopard would benefit from a crop, and I think that then the issue then for me is you've got a bunch of snow leopard shots. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then there are 2 of a fox, and then there's 1 of an ibis. And to me, I want to see like either all snow leopards or I want to see more diversity.
Or more diversity, right?
Like
Exactly.
I
So what is
want
this?
more wildlife.
Yeah.
Not just like right now we've only got three different species, and yet most of them are leopards. So either maybe add more or remove the fox and the ibis and just go just leopards.
And so here's a snow leopard shot, right? And it's a camouflage snow leopard shot, but I want it to be more clean. So I don't on the left side of the frame in the snow, all of this is distractions to me, right? Like the image to me here is maybe even square or vertical. It might be starting down here, going up like this, over to here, and down like here. Because the important part of the image is this, it is this area. So whatever crop that needs, I would love to see you go, even if you don't believe in our feedback, I would love to see you go and crop all of these images to get closer to this idea of what you're trying to show, and just to see what it looks like different.
I'm curious also, what focal length are you shooting these at?
I think he's doing a really, really high focal length, but it's so hard to get close to them because they're so dangerous that, it's. Let me see if it's written in there.
I didn't see any, but
Yeah, I mean, you might benefit from a lens that has a 2x teleconverter that makes it twice as gets twice
I was
as
going to
close.
say, I wonder if he's already using that. It seems pretty. He's obviously using something pretty long.
Yeah, this is really pretty.
I think that what we're kind of getting at here is these are all, you've got some really beautiful images of wildlife here, and I think they would benefit from a little bit of cropping to bring focus to the animals. And I think that from a curation standpoint, I would just think about, like, you're either going to go snow leopards, which is compelling, super compelling snow leopards camouflaged, or you broaden it out and you add some more wildlife that is not snow leopards and bring more into this. But I think as it sits right now, it feels a little bit like, hey, it's wildlife, but it's mostly snow leopards, and that feels a little weird to me. So that'd be my feedback for this one.
Yeah, and if you're looking at the collection from just like from this distance, because when I open people's collections, I usually look at it just like small like this at first. It's really hard to tell what I'm actually looking at because there's no
camouflage snow leopards. If that was the title of the collection, you'd immediately be looking for them.
True that. I agree. So yeah, that's the and he's got in his descriptions are good, right? One of one has his name. So yeah, that's the only feedback that I have for this. And I wonder, if you when you head out there next time, if you can, even if you don't have the lens that's long enough, maybe you could rent something for a day and just see the difference and maybe how much closer you can get. But yeah, so that's that's the feedback for this collection. So we can move on if the artist doesn't have anything.
Thank you, Mike.
You're
Actually,
welcome.
Hello?
Yeah.
Yeah, can I speak?
Sure.
Actually, most of the animals in another mountain. That's the problem.
Say that again?
Actually, most of the animals in another mountain. It's too far. So I had my I have my D500 and 200 500. So I can use my teleconverter. I can use teleconverter in that. Next time I will. Okay. And I was thinking like I need to add habitat shot, but I will crop it. Okay. I'll crop it.
Yeah.
Give it a shot. We're not experts, right? I mean, you're a wildlife photographer. I'm not. But I would just suggest to think about what draws the eye a little bit better. You either need to tell people to look for something hidden, or you need to be a little tighter in so it's a little more obvious.
Yeah, I understood. Thank you.
Good. Well, thank you for being here.
Yeah, thank you. So the next collection is Minimalize, and this is by Icaret. I don't know how to spell it. I'll say the name exactly here. Do we have him in the room? I think we do.
I am. Hello from Amsterdam, and thank you for the opportunity. This is like a gift. Tomorrow is my birthday, so this critique is a great birthday present. So I really appreciate this. And thank you to the MetaJungle team, by the way. This is really amazing and impressive, this session. I'm super nothing taken for granted here.
Sure, man. Like you can learn from just listening to what we're talking about other people. I always preach that to people like that, like you don't even have to hear about your own collection to sort of get an idea. But I love I'm a big fan of minimalism. Definitely love minimalism. You could see in here I put hearts on some of the ones that were my favorite. So if we're looking at well, my favorite of all, I would say is this Stairs to Heaven #5. I think you really nailed it on this one. The stairs. I love how the stairs cut through right through the center of the frame. The clouds have this really dramatic effect. This is really well done minimalism to me. So I thought that was my favorite one.
Agreed.
Yeah, and then there's a few other ones here that I favorite. I think I really did like this tower shot too. Very minimal as well. I love the whites, which is the subtle blue.
So one of the things that was interesting is that the feedback, and I had included, we just picked this one to showcase, but I think it's interesting that you put out, I think you had 4 different collections, and you mentioned that you minted all of them, you put them all on OpenSea at the same time.
Yeah, it was a rocky thing that you should not do. The first day, I got excited. I went to my catalog of photos, and I had already there some collections. This minimalistic was part of it, but I also had let's say, a collection of pictures about architecture, street, and nature. So what I did the first day is actually, if you go to the collected by me here in OpenSea, you would be seeing 86 pictures, and I minted 4 collections, but I decided to only put, let's say, the effort in this one. So one of the questions I have, but first, is there any picture you would take away from the collection itself? Do you think that there is something that is not really making any help here in terms of,
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
consistent?
To be honest, I mean, I know me and Dan differ in this, but like I think that like you shoot better at the square aspect ratio than you do at the 35. So like I'd love for all these to be square. Like this for instance, I mean, you might even be able to make this image square and still stand out. Like yeah, it bothers me a little bit. Some of the ones that are not square in this, I love to see this minimalism in all square. I also think that some of the ones that you shot outside of it aren't as strong. I think this one's pretty interesting.
For instance, this one, Mike, would you crop that one?
I would.
I would make it square. I would crop
I
it
tried
right.
out. Actually, I did it square, but then I was missing the tension of the cables that go to the bottom left, and then I had the feeling that had less power after cropping it. I crop it starting from the right, exactly on a square, and it lost a bit of actually the tension of the cables. And then I was like, maybe I should leave it as is. I don't know.
So that's a tough question, and I think that really comes down to this whole idea of curating, because I think while you feel like that makes it lose something, you just have to think of it. It's weird to kind of try to get outside of your own head and think, okay, but if it doesn't work cropped, does it belong in the collection?
Yeah.
And does anybody else see it the way you do? Does anybody else, are they quite as attached to it for that same reason?
Okay,
And
then I have a question.
Yeah, well, I was going to say, while Mike and I tend to disagree on the cropping thing, in this case, there's only 2 that aren't square. So maybe get them square.
Yeah, and this one here isn't minimal enough for me. The sign actually kind of hurts the minimalism of this. Like if there was no sign and no fence, or maybe even with the fence and it was cropped square like the rest, like yeah, I think maybe it'd work. But I don't know. This one.
Would you
it
take
doesn't-
would you clean the message that says private? Would you get rid of that in Photoshop actually? Totally?
I
I
wouldn't.
mean, you said you would or wouldn't, Dan?
I wouldn't.
Okay, so what should you do with it? Just crop it from the right.
I just don't like the sign at all. Like or maybe if it's cropped square like this and it's there's too much going on over here that doesn't have anything, and then there's just too much going on here that has too much on this side.
Tough call. I think that there's some degree of this kind of work doesn't feel like it needs to be photoshopped on some level, but I also think that maybe a different composition would have worked better here that didn't have the sign in it.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think you just have. I think yeah.
It doesn't help you after the fact, but
I mean, I
for
think that just has to get pulled from the collection. To be honest, like I just think you have enough strong ones that are like square. Like this is even like really interesting too. Like this is a really interesting abstract photo. Like I don't even know what I'm looking at.
It's a
And I
box.
don't.
Isn't the actually I put keywords in the
Yeah, it said
description.
all aboard. Yeah, all
No,
aboard.
no,
And I still couldn't see it as a boat, and I like it. I don't even care. I really like it's abstract, so I don't even need to know that it's a boat. But like, yeah, I think you have some solid ones. Like, so if you were to pick between these two, like I personally liked this one with the orange and the kind of cutout bottom, as opposed to the all black one. I don't know. I think some people would disagree and maybe like the all black one better. I don't
So
know.
then you guys, you are more into cropping rather than getting rid of any picture.
That's not necessarily true. I don't know how strong this one is.
Let me add something here. Yeah, I agree. I think the
I would get rid
chairs
of that one. Yeah.
doesn't work. Here's what I noticed when I first saw this collection. Part of the reason why I put this on our list and said, "Hey, Mike, we got to look at this one." I love all of these photos that have all the cables and
Yeah.
all of the lines and the cables and the thin lines. And I feel like that's a theme. And I almost, as much as I have even liked the one with the bike and the one with, I've liked the one with the bike. I've liked the one with the boat. I feel like you could almost have a whole collection of just these wire hanging type of things, the tension and hanging and
That's a good call. I like
all of
that.
those, they work really well together for me. I don't know that minimalist is the way I would describe what I'm looking at here, but to me, that's a theme. And the chairs
This
and
one
the
just
salt
doesn't
mountain
fit.
don't really go with that.
As cool as this looks, it does not fit in the collection for me at all.
Okay.
I think a larger discussion, though, if we were gonna, the thing that you had asked about, I think, is that the exercise of self curation, of deciding what belongs and what complements each other. I think that's the thing that you should work on. I feel like this is a good collection, and there's good stuff here, but there's some cruft that are, while they're good photos, they don't work well in this collection. Like, as much as I love the Stair to Heaven and I liked it, to me it doesn't fit with these other photos.
Yeah, it feels like a different collection.
Yeah.
But it might work in the same collection as the bike.
Yeah.
In a weird way.
And I think if I had to kind of give you a takeaway, it's that the thing you asked about is that you put a bunch of stuff out and it's a rookie move, and I made the same whole bunch of crap out. That was all stuff that I really like, but it was stuff that ultimately ended up being, it's just too much and it doesn't tell a compelling story. So I think if you were to back up and think about, how do I curate to have a super compelling story that is not hard to understand, I think that's really going to benefit you.
Okay.
And don't be afraid to maybe delete some things and get rid of some collections that haven't seen any activity, and just kind of start over with those.
Yeah, I had a question. I mean, I was thinking basically deleting the other three collections because I'm not even promoting them, focusing in this one. But in which moment you would jump, for instance, to publish a new collection if this one doesn't get a sold out, for instance? Would you wait until this is 50% sold? Would you eventually give it a time, and if it doesn't work, just discard it? But what happens if there are 3 sales in this collection and you don't promote it anymore? What would be the feeling for that collectors eventually? Like you dismiss your own collection?
There's a lot of feelings about that. A lot of people have different opinions. I'll just tell you my experience. I have my first collection that I sold anything out of. It's 20 pieces, and I only ever sold. But the problem is, at this point, it's stale enough and everybody's seen it. So I can keep talking about it, but I don't think the reality is that it's going to all of a sudden get picked up and somebody's going to start a buying spree and everybody's going to start buying. I think if it's work you believe in, you can put it out there and you can talk about it, and then you can keep it. It's up to you whether you want to delete it because you feel like it's either subpar or because you are embarrassed that it didn't sell. That's something you have to kind of work out for yourself. I personally have deleted collections that didn't sell because it ultimately felt like it was kind of taking up space, but I've also kept some other ones because I really believe. That's a personal decision you have to make. In terms of releasing new work, also a personal decision, but I think you just have to think about the idea that if you release new work too quickly, then it takes the attention away from work that maybe needs your promotion, and try to balance that.
I mean, so far I have been 1 month in the environment. I mean, on Twitter and in Discord, I think a couple of weeks. But how can I approach the collectors? How can I gain exposure? I mean, I have been in Discord in several spaces, talking in some of them, It goes quite slow. At this point, I have like 270 followers on Twitter. I'm reposting work that I see from other photographers, quoting it, giving my opinion about it. So I'm basically trying to do everything that I read from the community. I mean, trying to basically take all the suggestions how to basically be part of the community itself. But I have the feeling that this collection has been 1 month already online. It's not that I was expecting to sell out or anything like that, but I would have expected maybe that some more movement, even in terms of favorites or views, would happen, not even a sell. So I just a bit. I mean, I did even artist spotlight in MetaJungle that will come probably next week. So I'm trying to do everything I can to put my collection in front of everyone. But there is, as you can see, I mean, there is so much good work going on. I mean, I'm following way more people than the people following me, so I am exposed to a lot of posts and good work every day. And I have the feeling I'm a bit, like lost in a sea of good work from everyone else.
Well,
I think your perception is not unlike the rest of us. We all kind of feel the same way in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
And I'll just say a month is like, it's like 5 minutes in the NFT space. In terms of, or the other way around. A month could be like a year, but I have work that I put out in August that it's still sitting around.
Okay.
And so I'll just say that you have to, sometimes there's just patience needed. And I'll just say a month is barely time. And so building that community and connecting with people, especially becoming a known quantity to collectors, being somewhere like MetaJungle, being in other Discords, being in spaces, that's all going to, and I think the idea of, you don't have to just always be sharing other, but if you are engaged with people that are also active, that gives you the chance to see how they're doing it, for them to get to know you a little bit.
Yeah, this is what I was. Okay, there was a bit of echo. I have one. Yeah, I agree. But I have the last question. If I delete the collection, you know that in OpenSea normally they say you should unlist every single picture so they are not fulfillable, and then you really get rid of them. But of course, that is a lot of gas, as you might imagine. If you delete,
you just delete the individual photos and then to delete the collection.
I just delete them. In your case right now, that you have no one that's bought from you, like you're in a lucky situation. If you want to get rid of this collection, it's very easy. But like,
But I'm not saying you should.
I'm not either. But like,
no. I mean the other 3 ones. I have 4 collections.
Yeah, you need to get rid of some of them. I would say, and try to focus on one. It's also, to be honest, it's also kind of hard right now to sell at 0.2. Like I had to lower the price on some of my stuff to sell out my collections, because like it feels like there's like the space is like just flooding with competition of work at 0.1. That's like really phenomenal work, and it's like I feel like there's a lot of collectors that are hunting at those price ranges between 0.1 and 0.2 now. And that was even different from 2 months ago, where I was able to sell things at like 0.3 and they would go. And it doesn't feel like that on OpenSea anymore right now. It feels like that on Foundation you could sell at those prices, but it just doesn't feel like that on OpenSea right now. And and I just wanted to point out that like your banner up here looks better than your images here. And it's because, in my opinion, it's because they're all square. Even that sign picture is square.
Yeah, as you can see, it's cropped. The 2 of them are cropped on the top, funny enough, because I was playing with it. Okay.
Yeah.
But the rest is the same. I mean, the rest are square. Only one thing, I was even thinking, there was one day that I was thinking, why maybe if I was just deleting this collection and just trying the best pictures of this collection in Foundation at another price range. But again, the situation is that when you are not known, even if, for instance, the staircase could be in Foundation, maybe a bit more expensive than in here, still, I mean, no one knows me at the end of the day. You know what I mean?
I have some advice for you there. I don't think that killing it here and taking it to Foundation, it costs you money to mint it over there. And until you have spent some time and people know who you are, that's a tougher sell.
Yeah, I also think so too. Okay, yeah, this is what I was expecting.
But I think what Mike said makes a lot of sense. Like 0.2, like I have work out there at 0.25 that's just, I've sold a couple, but I mean, I'm not selling very many, and I've been around since May.
And
So
it
what do you
works,
think?
and it's amazing work, and it's like, it's just crazy.
But even
Mike?
I don't sometimes buy stuff at 0.2 because it's just too expensive for what I'm trying to buy. Like,
What do you
sometimes I
think is a sensitive price? Because for me, there are a couple of pictures in this collection. For me, the bike and the stairs are probably, at least for me, better than others. So would you move everything down to 0.15? Would you put something more expensive than other things? Or this is also leading a potential collector that this picture is better than the other?
Well, there's a couple of things to think about here. Do you have any sold out collections at all?
No.
So honestly, the priority right now is to sell out a collection. I would price this collection at 0.1, and maybe the ones that you feel are a little bit better, price them at 0.12. Like,
I was gonna say, I think 0.1 and 0.15 is like a sweet spot.
yeah.
And also, honestly, like, because it's have you had any sales yet?
No, this is the first collection. It's the Genesis one.
Let me just throw something out here. I don't think there's any shame in doing a 0.05.
I agree.
And trying to just move and get your first thing sold. And I have one collection that I bought from it's Brandon, and I'm gonna butcher his last name, but it's Japanese, and his is Bay Photography, and I bought from his first collection at 0.05. And then the next collection was, I think, 0.15, and the next one was 0.1. I think that it's totally respectable to start out at a lower price and try to get some action and get some movement happening, and then bump your prices.
100%. I think this is what happens. I think new people come into the space and they see people like Justin Aversano and 100 Palm Trees and all these series, and they see that work is selling at like 200 ETH, and then they see CryptoPunk 8-bit digital things selling at a $500,000, and then people are like, well, my stuff's at least worth 1 ETH. And the truth is this: Justin Aversano, when he drops his series, he drops it at 0.25. And he's leading the space in photography. He's number one leading the space in photography. These sales at these price levels don't happen on the initial drop. They happen on secondary. They happen on the secondary market. So I don't mind. Yeah, I don't mind pricing my stuff low on the initial first off sale, because if it's a great body of work, it's going to get traded on the secondary market, and the people are going to determine the value of my work, and I'll make money for the rest of my life through royalties. So you have to think about it that way too.
Okay,
I think one other thing to think about
royalty
too.
percentage?
Say it again.
Sorry, I was saying, what is the sensitive royalty percentage?
10%.
10%.
Okay.
Yeah. But also, I think it's also good to think about that when you talk about, there are people who can pop in here and start selling at 1 ETH. A lot of times it's because they have a huge Instagram following. They're already a Sony ambassador. They're already a well-known fine art photographer. If you don't have that, then I think it's good to just go, hey, have some humility and start a little bit lower and work your way up. And I made the same exact mistake of pricing my stuff way too high at the beginning and having no activity, and I've had to work my way up.
Mm-hmm. But I think as far as the feedback goes, I think we got to move on.
Yeah. Thank you so much for everything. I really appreciate it, and I'm going to take into account all the feedback you gave me. So thank you again, and well, I wish you a very good evening after this.
Cool. Thank you so much for being here. So next collection is Language of the Body, and that's by Dima Begma. Collection's dedicated. Yeah, collection dedicated to the beauty and perfection of female body. Entire series filmed on minimalistic backdrops with a focus on the models. Only the beauty of the curves of the body, grace, sensuality, and tenderness in their every movement. Enjoy watching. And so, reading that, only the beauty of the curves of the body, the grace, sensuality, and tenderness. Right. So, when I looked at this collection, like I'm always going to be transparent. It feels like the same model. One, it might be two models. Two, it feels like just a photo shoot that was on 2 different days. And three, I actually like what I'm seeing up here.
Right.
I like these tighter crops. Where is this photograph? This
I was
is the
thinking the
most
same thing.
that is the most beautiful photograph in this whole collection, and it's not in the collection. Okay. And then, and when you say something like the curves of the body, the grace, that's what I'm thinking of. I'm thinking of bodyscapes, and these feel more to me like a model shoot session. And you have a few shots in here that are just a bit too similar. So like Plastic 2 and Plastic 3. And you have Plastic 2 priced at 0.5, but I think Plastic 3 is the clear winner here. I think I mean, it's a very beautiful girl, right? And she's, the colors are beautiful. I mean, we take a look and we go to this one here, which is priced more, and it's very similar. In the fact that you've using the same wardrobe, and maybe the other one's not the clear winner. They're both pretty good, but it's just it feels like they're taken on the same day, and obviously this one here as well. And so you have some beautiful shots here, like I like this one here, and I'm not sure though that that I like the full image as much as I like this part here.
I feel
But
exactly the same. Mike,
yeah,
you've nailed everything about this.
yeah, and even this shot, like this crop, it feels more personal. It feels more beautiful and sensual. These crops seem it's just you're showing me too much, almost to the point where I want to feel and see the details, and the details are in your banner. See, this is a beautiful detail to me, where it looks like the foot sort of brings up this piece here. Gorgeous little detailed piece. So like maybe the shot is this. Maybe the shot is the right side half of the frame with just her rear with the legs. And look at this, just the rear and I'm putting my hand over as if you guys could see that, but I'm coming down from here. And I'm just looking at the legs and the shapes of this, and that's a gorgeous photograph. And then this side here is not needed to me.
What also would be cool about that one would be just cut it so it's just the right side of the image and then flip it over.
Yeah, you can do that too. And you could flip it upside down. You can spin it different ways and see how it would look.
So let me add some of this. I feel exactly the same way as you do, Mike. I feel like that top banner really does give us some idea of what's possible here. I feel like the same thing. These are too wide, and there's so many different ways that these could be way more interesting if they were way tighter cropped. And reality is that this is some feedback for the artist. You obviously have a very good understanding of light. You have a very good repertoire with, I mean, models, a good model knows what they're doing, but there's some definite positives here with the idea of shape, the idea of posing. I would challenge him to tighten up, not to go crop all these, but to think about really zeroing in the composition. And I think number 3 is a really good. And I think also in that top frame, that third image that's not in the collection,
gorgeous,
cropped in and focused just like that would be amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Another good example is that I think the only one that I think really works well wide is Naturalness, which is the one with the black and red.
Yeah.
I think that one does work well wide, but it works well wide because it's so open. But then, femininity number 2 to me is like just way too much. Could be cropped in so much tighter. And really femininity number 1, just slightly different, they're barely different.
Yeah. And so out of those three, I obviously I hearted this one here because this fetal position one in the center, and it's completely split down the frame between black and red like a yin and yang. That made sense to me. For that shot for me, it's a lot more about the artist, the photographer's artistic vision. Whereas in some of these shots, it relies a bit more on the actual beauty of the model. And so, like, I challenge you to get closer. Like, I challenge you to get closer and create some more abstract photographs of the human form, and
Right.
play with these lines and details of this drapery, and look at the line in her calf, and how it kind of it relates to the line here, like, and play with this. Like, I mean, I could literally crop this photo right now. Like, let's see, like if I press shift this, cropping, not used to cropping on. I mean, I could crop something like this, and it'd be, I'd probably crop that, and maybe not. That's not the best crop. Maybe we should be like a little bit more to the left. But, like, you see what I'm going for with this is, like, there's these moments with just the body parts that are just, like, really beautiful. Whereas, like, I don't need to see this full on model. Like, I don't need to rely on everything about the model, and also, like, so if the artist is here and could speak, I'd love to know if you have any sold out collections, and if not, then a floor price of 0.4 seems a bit high with no sales, to just be starting off. So
And
that
to be
would.
fair, like, I don't think when we say that, when we talk about pricing, everybody has to decide for themselves. We're just telling you.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm.
I don't think the
Yeah,
artist is here, by the way.
Yeah, I don't think so.
That's
either.
fine. And
I don't
so,
really
and
have
then,
any other feedback. I don't think, other than that.
yeah, me neither, except the descriptions, like, throw in the description, the artist name, collection name, and let us know that this is an edition of one, and that I'm not buying something that you're going to make 10 times. And that's it. So I'm going to move on. And so we have, this is Astro Gallery. This is by Kokako. And I think that we have them here. Am I right? Maybe not. Okay. Well, they're not here.
I think they were here, but left probably.
Yeah, I mean, these are long sessions, so I get it.
Yeah. Yeah, I really like this set. I think this is some really superb astro work, and we've seen some other really great Northern Lights, Aurora Borealis photos. To me, I'm not saying these are better, but these appeal to me a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
Just, I think, like, the Speed Racer is the first one at the top left corner. You've got long exposure, so you've got the trailing lights from the road, and then you also have the Aurora Borealis, and you've also got the city lights off in the distance. And if you look at it up close, it's just really beautiful.
Yeah, it is really well done.
I love that, and I think that this is a broader range of night sky, not just a little bit broader range of night. There's some Milky Way shots. There's some cool stuff happening.
Yeah, so, like, this moon shot was one of my favorites, and this one here was one of my favorites as well, and some of the more minimal stuff. But yeah, I like this crop on this too. This Mountain Aurora crop. I think this is a really beautiful one.
Panorama vibe.
Panorama vibe, I guess. Yeah. Then I had this one too. I really love this. I really love how the shape of the Aurora lights worked out in this one. It kind of mimics the bottom portion of the frame too. It shapes the bottom portion of the frame.
Well, if you look at this one, blow this one up. If anybody who has a chance to look at this one, there's so much detail, and the whole background is gray stones and looks like pieces of seaweed.
Mm-hmm. Yep, exactly.
Piles of dried up seaweed on the shore, and the
Yeah,
stars are super pinpoint, sharp in
They are. Yeah, it's beautiful. And then descriptions on this. I got the name and everything like that. And let's see. Shot. Yeah, I got good descriptions here, but I just obviously put in that information that it's one of one, and oh, you got edition one over. They got all that information. All right, so great descriptions. So yeah, I really enjoy the series. I don't know that I would even pull any out. I like this one too. I'm not as big of a fan as these sort of like posed pictures of people in the frame where it's like, I mean, I feel like this has been done so many times on Instagram, but in this particular one, I do kind of like it. I like the composition, how it's centered in the middle there, and the water sheen and everything like that. I think it's a nice one.
Yeah.
Cool.
I think when I was looking at this one earlier, I think as much as I like the moon shot, I think it kind of feels out of place in this.
Yeah, it does.
I feel like it's an interesting one-on-one, but I don't know that it works here in this.
Yeah, I agree.
Part of the reason why is because the rest of these are all wider angle images, and
they have stars.
It's clearly like a telephoto, and there's no star.
Yeah, they all have stars too.
Yeah.
And then I think they're really good. I mean, I don't really have much else on this collection, so I think we can move on to the next one.
Yeah, this is a hard one. I've chatted with Kokako, I don't know how you say it, in this Discord and another one, and I think that there's some definite great work here. I would say, if I were to give a little bit more feedback, it would be to maybe think about bringing in of the Aurora Borealis images, if you've got them, and pull back some of the ones that don't have it, especially if you've got anything Aurora Borealis and Milky Way, like add that kind of stuff in. Could be really interesting.
Also, it says your collection size is 10 NFTs. It says 9 items up here, and there's 9 items in the collection. So just fix that. And that's it.
But it's good work, and I think that ultimately is one of those things where it's like, if we don't have much to say, it's like it's a good collection. There's some great work.
Yeah, exactly. So, Son of Africa, and this is by Subhash, who's been really supportive, and I've seen him a lot around. And
I'm here.
oh, you here, Sue?
Yeah, I'm here.
Hey, what's going on, man? How you doing?
All good, buddy. All good, buddy. I was waiting for my turn. Thank you for this opportunity. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Sorry we made you wait so long.
I'm sorry, you're all. There's somebody after you still too, so
No,
that
it's
guy's
okay.
even.
It's always good to wait and wait for your chance. That's how you earn that, right?
Well,
I appreciate it.
and I will say this: it's great when people hang around even after.
Thanks, Dan.
I mean, you're learning from hearing from other people too, right? So
Absolutely.
Since you're here, what kind of feedback? What are you hoping for?
I just wanted to know because this is one of my collection which I kept. I curated it myself from out of almost 50 photos or so. I wanted to do it as 2 or 3 versions. I mean, just like 50. Altogether maybe 50 photos of sun related, I mean sunrise. All these photos are taken at sunrise or sunset during that time. So but unfortunately, or I'm not sure, it's not getting enough eyes on this work. I have another 2 collections which got some eyes at least, but this particular collection, I'm not getting any eyes. One of the photo, one photo already I sold from this, the bottom one. That too, the collector, my collector, she bought almost 5 photos of mine from other collections. So she's the one who collected that. Yeah, so I just wanted to know what I can, because it's been almost 6 months for me in NFTs. I'm trying to talk about wildlife, nature, and everything. I'm not sure where I am doing wrong, but I'm doing wrong. So you guys are experts, so I would love to get any sort of, be it photo critics. I'm
Sure.
always open to any.
Sure. I mean, so like right off the bat for me, there's a lot of similar images, and so like I kind of put a heart on the ones where I thought like, so you have these 3 this is a lion, And so a lioness. And so I thought,
Lioness.
yeah, I thought this was, I'll make it big. I thought this was the best of the three that you had. And so then like maybe it's a good idea to trim this down. Like you have a collection of 15, maybe you could trim this down to like 8 or something. So you have that one, and then you have this one here. And maybe my opinion is that maybe this is maybe I don't know. This one's really beautiful. Maybe this one's. I love how it's backlit here. And then you have this one here, and it's called what? Waiting for Mom. And I think this is the least of the least of the least good of the three, and it's for this reason that I feel a lot about some of your images, that you're pulling your shadows up way too high in a lot of these. Like for instance, like if I click on this, I think you're over editing. So like clearly the sunlight's coming in from the back, and so you have multiple shots of these and the sunlight's coming in from the back, and so realistically
Recover the shadow. Yeah.
realistically we shouldn't see this much detail. So it sort of gives it this kind of like coloring book, HDR-ish, cartoon-esque sort of feel. Whereas like I'm personally more drawn to the one that sold, where it has a more realistic sort of feel to it. But also, out of the three of these, I think this one would be the one that I'd keep, because this actually feels like it has some shadow in it, and I love the composition, and I love the. So I think those other two you can cut. Go ahead.
I was gonna add that the one with the bird that's sitting on the back that you were saying was a little overbaked. I think I'm looking at it really big on my screen, and there's a lot of haloing and chromatic aberration happening around where the dark contrasted areas are happening.
Was it this? There's two like that. Yeah.
It's not that one; it's the other one. But that one you can see it too. And
yeah, and that's the thing, is it feels too edited to me. So
yeah,
I don't. I'm not
my
as drawn.
suggestion there, and this is just for you to get better at this, is that these don't look very natural. And I would what this happens when you pull the highlights down and you boost the shadow. You end up with these halos. So yeah, so this one, if you click on it and look at it big and zoom in a little bit, there's like a purple fringing all the way around the outside of the elephant.
Yeah, all this. Yeah.
And there's kind of some green fringing on the other elephant, and there's a little bit of pixelation in the sky. And I think that this is an image that would probably benefit from having a little bit less push and pull. I think that you would benefit from just pulling back, pull some shadows back in.
Yeah, and so like, sorry.
Yeah.
And so like, for me it would be like I would remove this one, I would remove this one, and like this would be the keeper for me. I feel like there's less. I feel like you did a little less editing in this. I mean, maybe even if you took the shadows down even a little bit more in this, it might even be better. I don't know. I think this is the strongest composition. I don't know if you agree, Dan, those three elephant shots.
I do, and I'm just looking at that one big. My gut is that I think that a lot of times we get so much latitude in these push and pull them so. And on this one, like I feel like it's good. And I feel like the elephant looks a little bit noisy. Like there's a little bit, you've pulled the shadows up a little too much. And I think it would still be okay if you pulled the shadows back down, because you've still got light coming in underneath the body.
Exactly.
The birds would still work. They're still going to be white. And I think that it would just be a stronger image. Don't be afraid of shadows. We know there's backlight. We know that's happening. So if you let the shadows be there, here's what's really cool. All the little holes in the elephant ears, like that's even cooler if it's more of a silhouette.
Yeah, compositionally, that's the best shot too. And I think some of these silhouettes are fantastic. Like this is one of my favorite shots in the series. That's actually my favorite shot in the series.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
I think your composition is unbelievably good here. The silhouette's fantastic. you know, you don't feel in this photograph like you over processed it. You know, I love the dust kicking back behind the horse. The tree is absolutely beautiful. The sun is beautiful. Like, you know, that's to me, you know, that's
That's
such a
probably a
good.
zebra, isn't it?
It might, yeah, I guess a zebra. So, you know, that's really
The one right
great.
next to it is pretty cool too. Number 15.
Yeah, you know, yes, I hearted that one too. Was it this one?
The other one is the one I was looking at.
Oops. It was, you said
Number
it was
15.
number, oh yeah, 15. I have that hearted too. Really like that show a lot. Beautiful.
Look, that reminds me of something out of Lion King, you know? It's,
Yeah, it
they're all
does.
walking over the sunset.
This actually,
Yes.
this is from Amboseli, the mountain behind is Kilimanjaro mountain from Kenya.
Yeah, there you
Kenya
go.
side. So, yeah, so you will see that these elephants comes down from the mountains every day to graze, and this is one of the um, uh, luckiest day for me. I keep traveling to that place, but this was one of the luckiest day. Yeah.
All those shadows are
Otherwise, you
great.
won't get that foggy morning like that. But yeah.
No, it's beautiful. I
Yeah,
love
he's
it.
shooting with some serious gear too. Nikon D50 with a 400 millimeter lens. Like I feel like that's an ideal setup to shoot wildlife.
Yeah. I think you've got great work here, and you've probably got we've given you some ideas for how you tighten this up a little bit.
Yeah, I'll remove that too. I agree with you guys for that shadow thing on that, because I removed that. I always removed that shadow from that two photo. I clearly agree with that. Yeah.
Yeah, and
Great.
so yeah, I think that's great. I think you're a great wildlife photographer. I just think that some of your editing choices are a little pushed too much, and I think you can edit this photo series down to. I think you can remove half of these and make a much stronger impact on the way that it looks when you know it's first visually seen. So,
And if you're not already, get in on some of those wildlife spaces that are hosted by the wild.
Sorry, come again, Dan. I missed it.
The Wildlife Collective, they host some
Yeah,
pretty amazing.
I'm a founder member of Wildlife Collective actually.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
So hanging around there can't hurt, right?
Yeah. I
Ryan
just
Salt is a good Twitter friend of mine, and I've
yeah,
always
Ryan is
admired.
a good friend of mine as well. Yeah, he's a nice person, very good person. Yeah.
Yeah. But I think making some of those small edits might really.
Yeah, I'll do that. I'll surely take off that two photo, and I'll try to not only that two photo. I'll try to cut off a couple of and reschedule. Maybe I'll make it into some 12 or 10 pieces. I'm not sure.
yeah,
I'll just yeah.
and what's great is the one that got sold. It doesn't need the editing. It's beautiful.
That's great.
Look at that
Yeah.
sky. Okay, cool.
Okay,
We'll move on to the next.
Thanks, buddy.
Yep.
Thank you. Thank you, guys.
So this is the last. This is the last photographer we have here for today, and this is Guardians of the Sea by David David L. Navia. Do we have the artist with us?
Yes,
Yep.
yeah, I am here.
Wow, so you're the last guy. You've been waiting. Oh my gosh.
Hey, David.
Yes, I have to wait.
Oh my God.
No
Thanks for
problem.
staying.
No problem.
Yeah, so Guardians of the Sea here to present a collection of 12 of these incredible rock formations, which, like old guardians, have watched over our coast since uh, immemorial times. Did I say that right? Immemorial times. Each one of them is unique, and as such, will be so in my collection. And so, yeah, I favorited some of these here, and I think there's a lot of beautiful stuff to be looked at here. You want to talk in about some of these, or do you want me to lead on it? That's fine too.
David, did you have any specific feedback you were looking for?
Sorry. Yes, I don't know. How can you help me? Sorry for my English. What I want
No
to know
worries.
if I have maybe too many photos, or I have to delete one, or even if the price is good or low. I don't know. Whatever
Well,
help you can give me is okay.
Sure. I mean, let's start with the quality of the work, right? Like, look at this photograph. This is amazing. Like, this is superb composition. Absolutely beautiful. The detail inside of the cave, reflection. Look at this reflection portion of the cave in the water down here, and then you've actually built a frame to frame this landscape out here, and then you have another frame with stars in it. I'm not surprised that photograph sold. I would put in your descriptions, the information that we're asking to be required in the descriptions, which is name of the artist, name of collection, and that it's a one of one, so that the people that buy it from you know that they're getting a one of one, and it makes it feel better. Got a few favorited here. I really enjoyed a lot of these. This one really stands out to me. I think the colors are just really incredible here, and especially that green in the front and the oranges. And, it's almost like a spooky face. That that rock formation with the eyes and reflections.
Yes, looks like a mask.
Like a mask. Yeah, it's really stunning. That's a great price. 0.1. That's definitely a great price. I mean, I would buy from this collection at that price for sure.
So I know that this collection used to be a lot bigger, and I had actually talked with David a few weeks ago.
Yes.
And he already went through a pretty big culling collection to tighten these up quite a bit, and did some repricing as well.
Yeah, this is phenomenal. This shot. I love the star. I love the star. The sun star. I love that. I love the guy up on the mountain there. Really beautiful composition. Just a crazy structure in the sand. Absolutely beautiful. I'd love to be able to be there photographing. I mean, I think that's a steal at 0.1. You know, for a one of one like that, really, really beautiful. And I favorited some of these too. Something that I really loved about this. Felt very. I like it. I like this to be a bit more muted. This reminds me of something out of Game of Thrones. I love the ripples in the water here, like the whole reflection, and it feels like a really strong stone structure. Lots of beautiful shots here. You want to talk on any of these, Dan?
Yeah, I'm a big fan of David's work here. This is really beautiful. I love seascapes, especially this with water pouring in or pulling back. Like that's kind of one of those things that I'm always looking for on the coast. I think
this type of stuff.
Yeah, that's great. Like
That shot's awesome.
Super beautiful.
So surreal.
I think so David already went through and culled back quite a bit, and I think that this is a pretty good smaller group that makes a lot of sense. I think the real question is really one of how do you get this in front of people? Because the pricing is great. The work is really good. I mean, I don't think that I'm not nitpicking over Clay. It really just seems like you just got to get this in front of you. And I know we've talked privately about that. There's a little bit of a sense of a language barrier in terms of spaces.
Yes, for sure.
but I really do believe this is beautiful work, and I wonder, is a text-based, telling detailed stories on, is that an option? Is that a way that you can kind of share these stories in a deeper way, even if you're not totally comfortable? And also, I'll just throw this out there. People are really forgiving of them. So I don't think you need to be quite as...
People are forgiving of what? You cut out there.
Maybe not being as well spoken in English.
Yeah. They really are. Yeah, they really are forgiving.
I'm having problem with listening to you because I think sometimes I can't hear you well.
Sure. I've been cutting out a little bit here, I think.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I agree with Dan. You know, like these are really beautiful photographs, and you know, if I had the Ethereum right now, you know, I'd probably pick up this one here. You know, I'd probably pick up, you know,
Yes,
one here.
this place is really special because it was the first time that no one take a picture there.
Yeah.
It's also really dangerous to go there. You have to go down through a cliff. So it was really awesome to be there.
Yeah, this is gorgeous too. I love the detail in this, and the way that you've added these layers, foreground, middle ground, background. I think that's super important in most landscape shots. So yeah, let's get you out to a larger audience. You know, hopefully I get to pick up some of these ones that I really like before somebody steals them on me. But I'd love to showcase your work and my Twitter and stuff like that, and get more eyes on it. But generally, what have you been doing to get eyes on?
Sorry, what do I do? I try to be active in Twitter. As Stan said, I'm afraid to speak in English, so I don't just to speak in space.
Yeah. You have a good following too, right? 2,700. This is your pinned tweet. So you did cull it down a lot. This is a lot more images. Is this the same body of work? No.
No, this is another collection in Sloika.
Oh, you're on Sloika too.
Yeah.
How's your work doing on Sloika?
Sorry?
How's your work?
Like here, no sales.
Interesting, because there's 0.2. Like, this is gorgeous. No sales. So, you know, it has to have something to do with your level of marketing yourself and having eyes on this stuff, because it's worth the money. Look at this shot. 0.2. Same thing with Dan's on Sloika, you know, fantastic work. You know, his is 0.25, but like, so available 12, collection 12. When did this drop? When did you drop this series?
Like 10 days ago, I think.
And so what did you do outside of posting on Twitter about it? I mean, it's got 97 retweets, 197 likes. It's huge engagement, but no one went to buy one.
I don't know what I'm doing wrong. This is what I'm here.
No, it's a pain. I don't know what I'm doing wrong sometimes too. When I put out a Twitter post and it has, you know, 200 retweets but no one is buying. It's and every day is every day is kind of, I don't want to say a struggle. Every day is kind of a new day where I am trying to figure out in my head, like, what can I do today to, create more friends in the space, or like bring more eyes on my own work and stuff. And I think it's just you have to try to figure out this stuff. Like,
one thing that I did wrong is a month ago I need a break, and I took like 3 weeks out of Twitter, out of any social media, and maybe this is something that is not good.
Have you talked to Sloika, and have they talked to you and asked have you guys had conversation as to them marketing it for you?
Yes, they share my work. I'm on his Discord. Yes, but I don't know. Maybe it didn't reach the right people.
I mean, so don't get discouraged, obviously, because you're a really great photographer, and just keep pushing on, and put out I'll showcase your work on my Twitter, and I'll put some eyes on it and send it to some collectors and stuff. I mean, I wish I had the ETH to be able to like buy what I wanted to before everybody else does, but that's kind of selfish on my own part. But because there's some of these that
I want to add something
What?
too. I think, Mike, you asked about, the Sloika thing, and I think there's a sense. Well, first of all, I think there's some collectors who are a little bit reluctant to buy there, so that's one
Mm-hmm.
thing.
Yeah, it is.
Even people that I know that have collected work for me in the past were like, I'm not so sure about that. And then a couple of them ended up buying there. But I think it's just good to know that Sloika is not a marketing. So just because you're on there and they send out doesn't
Yeah,
that
it's not their responsibility to be your spokesperson.
yeah, and it doesn't work. It doesn't work. People are going to find you, and they largely choose to buy your work because of you, not because somebody told them about it. So with
Listen,
some exceptions, I
yeah,
mean, if somebody
sorry.
promotes your work and they have a following, that's great, but that only works some of the time, and you can't rely on that. That can't be your marketing plan. Is I found somebody to talk about my work. In some ways, you have to balance that. You got to talk about yourself, and you need to build community with people who also want to support you. It's a balance of those things.
Mm-hmm.
And David, you've got some good community. I mean, that's not the problem here, but I think in some ways, perhaps telling more of your story might be beneficial, because as much as I love the work here, I think that I'd love to know more about why this is unique. Why is this place remote? Why don't other people have pictures of that sort of thing?
Yes, I know what you mean. Sometimes I'm not good talking, not even in Spanish, or imagine in English.
Well, and,
Yeah,
and that's something. Have somebody who speaks Spanish write your stuff out. Have somebody else who's better at it proofread and help you, write up a story, write up a 10 tweet story about some of this, and have somebody help you with that.
Okay, I'll try it. Thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah, and if you don't mind putting some of those in your description of your images, just like your artist with your name and collection, with the name of the collection, and telling us that that it's a one of one in the description. So
Yeah.
because when I get my hands on some ETH, I'm gonna probably purchase some of these, and so yeah, I'd like to have that information there as a collector, uh, as evidence that you're not going to produce more of these. But yeah, I mean
Like it.
yeah, I really like it too. And so yeah, I think that concludes the AMA. We started at 1. It's 4:07. We've gone for 3 hours and 7 minutes, and so yeah, I think it's a really good one, and I hope the people that didn't get to be in it this week have taken something out of it. I think there's always something to be taken out from this. I always learn something. I love the dynamic that we can have with you, Dan, and it's good to not have to be speaking the whole time and have you take on some of the speaking, and then have some ideas that I didn't think about, and kind of you know, bounce things off of each other. It's really good, and as always, thanks MetaJungle for like providing the space to allow us to help these artists to get visibility on their work, to teach them how to cull down a collection and story tell, and write artist statements and be more descriptive, and find ways in which they can build community around them. So yeah, I think it was a really good session. So that's all I got.
I agree.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you, guys. I really appreciate your work.
Thank you so
Hey,
much.
thanks for being here.
Cool. So I guess, go ahead.
Oh, as we're closing, I just wanted to say thank you to Mike and to Dan both. I think your feedback was really beneficial, and you guys do a great job of, bouncing off of each other and sharing that information. So thank you guys for your time, and thank you for all the artists who contributed today as well. I think it was a great session.
Yeah, absolutely. Lots of great work, and looking forward to see people make those changes in their collections, and looking forward to see new artists in the future in the AMA. And I guess I will end in 3, 2, 1. If no one has anything, goodbye, guys. I have to go eat. Have a good night.